Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Murinura Isenberg here again. Yeah, it's live streaming time again, as usual. Let me just share what needs to be shared, links and whatnot. As for the subject, today we're going to discuss a more neutral subject. Subject is, hold on. Subject is aside from the miscellaneous, the downfall of once great countries slash cities. So more of a neutral topic today. Spinosaurus says hello. Hello to everyone in advance. Hello to all in advance. Let me start off by saying that it is fucking hot in my location, in case you didn't notice the background. Current temperature, the current temperature for me is 38 degrees Celsius. Can you imagine what that's like? Right now, I literally feel like I am in an easy bake oven. So yeah, nah, I see three people watching the stream. My air conditioner doesn't help jack shit. Nothing. Code 19 says that my face is red. Is my face red? Yeah, it's a bit more red than usual. Um, Spinosaurus says, I don't know how much I can stay, how long I can stay, because it's 10:10 p.m. and I want to astral project at 10:40. Knock yourself out. I mean, I think I'll still be streaming by the time you get back, assuming that it won't take you 2 hours to astral project. It's not supposed to take that long. Half an hour approximately is correct. Hello again, code 919. Um, Hold on, let me just share the sorry, let me just share the stream. Just share the stream link, you piece of crap. Just share. Facebook is so fucking slow. I have no idea why it takes ages for, to just share something. So yeah, before I continue, I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay because I can see myself okay. I'm seeing someone new. Ramona Guzman says hello. I haven't seen you before, but welcome. Spinosaurus says, well, I do a method in which I sleep for 4 hours and wake up then since I'm a beginner. Okay, no, sure, no problem. The choice is entirely yours in relation to what you want to do, but don't feel forced to stay online for the sake of this stream. Of course, meant in a normal way. I'm not telling you to fuck off, but you need to prioritize in terms of what is more important for you. In any case, yeah, regarding the topic, as you can see here, will be the downfall of once great countries and cities. For those of you that haven't noticed, okay, practically every country that was once considered great, countries that were on top of their game, and places that everyone wanted to move to, primarily Western countries, are literally everything is turning to shit. Literally everything. And yeah, it's the case with every country. Okay, it's the same with practically every Western country: the U.S., Canada, Australia, New Zealand, pretty much all of Western Europe, um, Germany, Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, Belgium, France, and it just goes on and on and on. Two people are having a discussion on my live stream discussing Spinosaurus is discussing astral projection with Code 919, which I don't mind. So yeah, in any case, this is more of a neutral topic, and it keeps becoming more and more apparent. Okay, primarily, I'm not biased in this, but primarily leftist governments or corrupt governments are the ones responsible for this happening, and the people that elected them are even more responsible for it happening. And yeah, bluntly put, a bunch of great countries are turning into shitholes. Once great countries, the UK is also an example, you name it. Quality of life is declining like no other. Okay. I remember a time, let's just say 10 years ago, where the US state California was pretty much the envy of the world. Every American, at least, and to a lesser extent, every other person or most people in the world, all across the globe, would want to live in California. California was basically an example state. Wealth, prosperity, everything that you can think of was in California. Cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles were cities that everyone wanted to live in and were mentioned in pop media for for its high quality of life and pretty much you being able to enjoy yourself. And the saying "America is the land of opportunity" rang through back then. Now all of these countries are literally just going down the drain in terms of turning into shitholes, turning into third world countries. Some quicker than others, but this is pretty much inevitable, to be honest. This topic is neutral, but at the same time, it's also an occult topic. It's indirectly an occult topic because this has been the case within mankind's entire existence, pretty much. If you just briefly think about it, every major civilization that was the envy of the world or the envy, just an envy overall, reached its peak and then everything, took a turn for the worse and everything went to shit. Okay. I think the most notable example is Rome. As I recall it, when Rome was at peak power, you had about what 50 million people that lived under Roman rule, and we're talking about specifically Western Rome, so not Eastern Rome, which later became Byzantium. Okay, when the empire was split, Rome reached its peak, and after that, everything just went. Rome just experienced one hell of a downfall. Everything, and I mean everything, just went wrong. And it's the same for all the other civilizations. Okay, it's the same for the Babylonians. It's the same thing for the Persians. It's the same thing for every that you can think of. For every civilization was the same for the Macedonians. It just goes on. And I find it peculiar that the reasons for their downfall are all the same. We're talking about literally all the same. Um, illegal migrants or migrants that don't care for the country and frankly just hate the country and everything it stands for and just want to leech off of everything good that the country has to offer in terms of welfare handouts and whatnot. Laziness, nonchalance, decrease in nationality, uh, corruption, immense levels of corruption. Uh, these are all examples, okay? And every civilization has had to deal with this. Not one of them had a different reason, as far as I know, for experiencing a downfall. All of these civilizations were they either simply eroded and fell into a state of non-existence or non-being, or they were conquered by some rival civilization. Another one that comes to mind before Rome was Egypt. Egypt was also seen as an empire, and it was pretty much the strongest empire in all desert-based landscapes. So basically, all dry parts of the world, and and yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, Egypt fell, as I recall, due to Rome. When Rome started rising, that automatically meant Egypt's downfall sooner or later, and Egypt became a Roman vassal. Jason Dunn joined us. Hello, Jason. He says it shall come to pass again. Yes, exactly. That's my point. Okay, and we're seeing it happening. I'm seeing it. We all, pretty much all of us, some of us are experiencing it. Others, like me, I almost want to say that I have front row seats to watching the Western world come to an end or come to a fall and declining. And it's all the same thing, okay? The reasons are all the same. The same things that you had back in medieval times and even BC times before Christ, you have the same things now. The same things that you can see, okay, in every Western country, every so-called great nation, the UK, the US, all of these countries, illegal migrants, corrupt politicians that use illegal migrants just to gain votes and whatnot. Um, a decline in nationality and national sentiment, loving one's country, you name it, and only caring about superficial things. It just keeps going on, okay? The same thing is happening right now. In the US, for example, again, not even Donald Trump can prove, in my opinion, not even Trump, no one can prevent the inevitable downfall of the US. The US will it will come crashing down, similar to Rome. The US is pretty much the modern version of Rome. The EU too, the European Union too, but to a lesser extent. Okay, the European Union is different in its own right. But it's the same thing. Right now in California, you can already see California literally taking a turn for the worse, a nosedive. I mean, you've got literal fecal matter on the streets of San Francisco, cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles. I mean, prices skyrocketing of the everyday goods while the quality of life declines at a ridiculously alarming rate. You keep getting more homeless people, more junkies, you name it. In the UK, it's the same thing, okay? The UK keeps getting more and more illegal migrants, as does the rest of Western Europe, the Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Portugal. It's the same thing. I have to look at it all day pretty much since I'm subscribed to a couple of channels. Not that I'm complaining. Scandinavia too, Sweden, Norway, all of these countries, okay? Finland, all of them are just it's in the UK, in London specifically. London is turning into a shithole. It's already a shithole pretty much with no-go zones. Acid attacks, you name it. You can just walk on the street and all of a sudden, a couple of guys, it's kind of funny, okay? From a neutral perspective, a couple of guys will simply, while driving by on a motorcycle or scooter, throw acid on your ass. And before you know it, you're in the hospital and you look like fucking Swamp Thing. Yeah, and when it comes to occultism coming into play in all of this, it's simply the repeated cycle or repeated pattern in existence that mankind has. As the saying goes, those that don't remember the past are doomed to repeat it. And you know, people as stupid as they are, being as stupid as they are, they simply people being as stupid as they are, they simply cannot. They're unaware of this. They just go about their daily lives, living from impulse to impulse, day by day. And there you go. Now we're in the same sad cycle where the West is going down the drain, and you know, just give it 2 decades. I think in 20 years, 30 years, Western Europe will not be Western Europe anymore. No more Italy, no more France, nothing. No more beautiful world wonders, no more Eiffel Towers, no more nothing, no more catacombs, no more Big Ben, nothing. In the US, no more Chrysler Building, nothing, nada, zip. No more Times Square, no beautiful beaches, you name it, okay. And I can't help but wonder where that global shift in power is going to turn to. You know, usually it's a shift in power, and it's possible that it will shift to Asia. Maybe China will indeed become the next superpower, or someone unexpected, you know, will start to rise up. Um, Eastern Europe might all of a sudden become dominant because of this, because these places haven't lost their grit. These places aren't experiencing any downfall because nationalism is still strong there. And you know, in light of what's happening to the West, nationalism is growing even larger. Something good, of course. I agree with that sentiment completely. Um, Let me see. Code 919 says, well, we live here for only 50 to 60 years max. Jason Dunn says, same as the UK. What country would you prefer going to? Code 919 says, eat, sleep, breathe, shit, and die. My guess is India. I don't think so. No offense to India, but I don't think India will turn into the next superpower. Jason says, London is dangerous, to be honest. I know. It's sad. The public in general are so asleep like walking zombies. Ramon Guzman says, maybe Russia. Yeah, Guzman makes an excellent point. Okay, so I think it might be Russia. Not just Russia. It might be all the post-Soviet Union countries. Estonia. So basically Eastern Europe as a whole. Hungary, Estonia, Poland, Serbia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Ukraine. And it just goes on. Because, yeah, those guys are pretty much like me. They don't stand for shit, okay? I mean, yell some kind of Allah Akbar slur and try to stab someone, and you will get shot by bystanders. You'll get shot by just pedestrians. A lot of people are packing heat over there. They're armed, heavily armed. But yeah, it's of course a shame, of course, honestly. All these beautiful countries going down the drain, Germany especially. Germany taking in over a million Syrian refugees and Afghani refugees. So Germany is literally turning into a shit show like no other. I keep getting messages. I keep seeing posts pop up of someone getting beheaded, some kind of poor, quote unquote, poor second or third class citizen, some kind of Eurotrash citizen in Germany. And so Jason Dunn says Sweden is another one. Yeah, Sweden too. Either being beheaded, Italy too. Italy not as much as the other two, but yeah, those countries too. Germany, France, you name it. You keep hearing stuff like this, things you'd never hear before. Okay, I mean, Sweden has turned into the rape country, the rape capital of the world, pretty much overnight in less than a year. You keep hearing people being raped, this happening, that happening. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Things you'd never hear. Okay, things that you never heard. Someone being beheaded by some illegal migrants, something like this happening, this one throwing this is body there. Yeah. So it's all coming full circle, and I honestly saw this coming, but I just left it for what it was, because this is something in essence that is greater than us, and it's not really anything that you can do about. David B says, hey Moreno, hello David B. David B's The Chess Republic is also one of them. Which is standing strong. And yeah, David B, you can see for yourself at the top of the chat bar what we're talking about. I wrote it there. Yeah, a lot of these countries are just it's sad, to be honest. It's really sad, to be honest. In hindsight, that code 919 says Suriname. That is a good one. Suriname becoming the next superpower. That is fucking rich. On the one hand, it might also be Brazil or Argentina, South America, those two strong continents. And again, it's the same thing, okay? All throughout the history of mankind, it's happened for the same reasons. The Mongols also rose to power, the same shit for the Mongols. They just fell into non-existence. The Vikings too, they experienced a peak in power when they still invaded the UK and so on. And they pretty much occupied and settled in a lot of Scandinavian countries that have Viking roots, such as Sweden, Norway, and whatnot. But now these countries, the Vikings also fell into non-existence all of a sudden. You heard nothing from them anymore, and that was it. So yeah, it's a shame, but yeah, what do you expect? And all the same factors, okay? There is not one factor that is different. BC times as well as now, the exact same thing is happening for the exact same reasons. Illegal migration are the causes, migrants occupying countries or being in countries that pretty much hate the country. Honestly, migrants that literally live in countries that openly state on camera, that basically are being published as underground videos, that openly state that they hate these countries that they're in. They only care about the women, the welfare, all the good things that these countries have to offer. For the rest, their message is fuck the country, and I can't blame them. I mean, they're the enemy, to be honest. And this is just literally, this is Stockholm syndrome at its finest. I don't know if I'm assuming that most of you here are familiar with Stockholm syndrome, but for those of you that aren't, let me just explain in short what Stockholm syndrome is. Stockholm syndrome is sympathizing with your attacker. If you're a victim of an attack, someone that is suffering from Stockholm syndrome, that's a psychological disease, okay, or a disorder. Instead of actually harboring hatred towards your attacker, of course, the way a normal person would, you have, instead of doing that, you have the exact opposite. Someone that's suffering from Stockholm syndrome actually sympathizes with his attacker. For example, a woman actually loving her rapist. A guy attacks a woman, he rapes her, and instead of trying to kill the guy, the woman literally just sympathizes with him, and it's like she enjoys the rape or something similar. That's what Stockholm syndrome is at its finest. And Stockholm syndrome couldn't point anymore to Sweden as an example if it tried to be. So yeah, a lot of these countries are suffering from Stockholm syndrome, because the thing is that this is an invading superior army. I mean, back in the day, that is a minor difference. countries that were occupied, overthrown by someone that was stronger, stronger civilization. For example, is when the Nazis occupied a bunch of countries in Europe and so on. That's something different, okay? When Alexander the Great conquered a good deal of territory and including a good portion of India, what is nowadays India. I mean, that I understand, okay? Then I could say, okay, you know what? All of these countries, Western Europe is simply overthrown because the enemy is stronger. I mean, screw it. Let's just say Afghanistan occupied pretty much France, Germany, and whatnot. Then I could say, okay, you know, they were stronger. They had highly advanced military technologies and strategies on their side. So blah blah blah. It's a deserved win, if you will. But this is literally just Stockholm syndrome at its finest, okay? Because pretty much all of these Western countries, they're coming down. I mean, they're falling. They're experiencing a fall from grace due to their own stupidity. They're literally the masters of their own undoing because they're the ones that are taking migrants en masse, and they are the ones that are detesting themselves. Okay, it's self-loathing at its finest. They hate themselves so much to the point where they just say, "Ah, fuck it, you know, screw everything. It's just gonna we only care about ourselves. You know, it's just a free for all." Politicians, corrupt politicians. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just bring these fucking guys in. It doesn't matter whether they want to rape and pillage and murder. It doesn't matter. You know, just screw the country. Just bring them in. That's if we bring in 1 million, that's at least if even half of them just votes. That's 500,000 votes just for my party and blah blah blah. We'll just pamper them with free housing, healthcare, and every fucking thing they need. Okay, welfare benefits. They don't have to do shit. All they have to do is just sit on their workless asses, and that's it. That is the strategy of those that are seeing to the downfall of Western countries. Pretty much, they only care about votes. For them, it's all about power. They don't care about their country. They don't care about what their country stands for, culturally speaking. They don't care about demographics. They don't care about any of that. The only thing that they care about the only thing that they care about is being in power. I don't know, they're under the delusion that they can create some kind of fantasy world, some kind of Game of Thrones world in which they sit on thrones and they have millions upon millions beneath them. And all they have to do is just snap with their fingers and someone is killed in their name. So, yeah, that's in any case what Stockholm Syndrome is. And as you can see, it's happening all over, okay? And of course, it's sad, honestly. It's the equivalent of me literally having this house and everything, right? And imagine if I had a wife and children and I invited my neighbors that I dislike in, and I just tell them, hey, feel free to use whatever you want, you know, eat my food, do whatever the hell you want. And they start sexually molesting my wife and children, and I just allow it. What do you think is going to happen? All of a sudden, I'm going to be pushed out of my own house, and boom, pretty much the enemy is in my house and has taken over my house, and that's pretty much what's happening. I mean, you have to be, you have to really, something really has to be wrong with you psychologically in order to do so. I would then be suffering from Stockholm syndrome pretty much, since I'm the one that invited these people in, these quote unquote people in, and it's the same thing that's happening all across the globe. But like I said, it's been happening throughout the history of mankind. And from an occult perspective, it's simply the cycle of existence. There's not really anything that you can do about it. Thank God it's going to rain in my location. It's 38 fucking degrees. I feel like a baked egg. Seriously, literally and figuratively. Oh, Jason Dunn says too many people are misinformed. Politicians that don't give a fuck, they already know what's going down. Most of them most of these conquerors were occultists behind closed doors. Yeah, some of them potentially. David B says so true. Embrace that attacker or fall in love. You know what Stockholm syndrome means. More like those leftists. The thing is, big corporations love immigration because they work for the lowest possible wage. So they also ruin the competition. Yes, exactly. And local people don't possibly want to work for those kind of wages. I mean, you can pay an immigrant €1 a day, to be honest, even €1 a day, and you'll still find people that will work for you. Whereas any other person in the European Union will definitely not work for €1 a day, not even €1 an hour. Even €1 an hour is weak, I think. Yeah, €1 an hour is weak. Nah, I wouldn't work for €1 an hour. No, 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 no. Let's see. No one else. Okay, yeah. David visas like Mexicans in the US. And yeah, I honestly, in hindsight, I am very glad that things did not go the way I wanted them to go a year ago or so. Because I had plans to move. My first choice, country of choice, was Canada. My second country of choice was the Netherlands. I said to myself, in case something goes wrong in Canada or something goes wrong with my application to Canada, I can always see the Netherlands as an alternative or seek out the Netherlands as an alternative. But I'm glad, okay, because long story short, my visa application was rejected for no valid reason, no logical reason in any case. And I am so glad because I thought to myself, oh God, I dodged a bullet there because otherwise right now I'd be stuck in Canada, and Canada is also experiencing the same shit with the current prime minister taking in, refugee, quote unquote, refugee after refugee. And yeah, I hear stories from Canadians left and right of them complaining of all hell breaking loose and, things just going wrong. And it's a shame, but yeah, it's your own fault, to be honest. And I'm talking to the populations of these countries as a whole. You're literally the master, or you guys are the masters of your own, so you can burn in your own flames, as I say. You can literally burn in your own self-made flames. In the Netherlands, same deal, okay, same shit. In the Netherlands, you have a bunch of migrants, a bunch of illegal migrants at that are present in the country and that just pretty much do as they please. And violent crime rates and everything are going up in the Netherlands, all thanks to the current government installed and whatnot and blah blah blah. It's just yeah. It's the same thing in the Netherlands. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to Holland. So yeah, I'm glad that things didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out. It just goes to show you that everything happens for a reason. I don't want to be around when these countries come crashing down, and they will. It's simply a matter of time. Give it a decade or two, 20 to 25 years. Okay, the Netherlands, I think, will look like piece of shit Suriname in 20 to 25 years. Canada will look like, I don't know, a shithole in any case. And a lot of the other countries, I think, will regress back to looking like the colonies that they once colonized, or the countries that they once colonized. So same thing with France, a bunch of Algerians in France, and a bunch of other, things. A bunch of other miscreants in Canada. I'm not dissing Algerians, of course, but let's just say at the very least, Algerian vermin is in France, and France is experiencing the same shit. Okay, those of you that haven't seen it, you should see what what Paris looks like. Okay, the so-called City of Lights. Let's see, Paris ruined by immigrants. If I just look this up, I'll show you guys what thing it looks like now, what Paris looks like now. Beautiful Paris. There you go. That's what now. So much for the City of Lights. Jason Dunn says, wait a minute. Some of the hardest workers I've seen are the Chinese over here. Yeah, here too. Code19 is asking me if I go to Amsterdam. Most likely, yeah. David B says, interesting is that Asians, especially Chinese, Vietnamese, and such, are always just caring about themselves, minding their own business. Jason Dunn says, I think there was a reason for you staying for your protection in the UK. If mankind learned to govern themselves, governments wouldn't be necessary, or they would be there to serve them. David B says, interest. I'm sorry, I'm almost rereading his comment. David B says, when I talk to a few Dutchmen, I realize that they're Moroccan, so it's difficult to find the real Dutchman. Yes, it is. It's difficult to find a person that's actually Dutch. In the Netherlands, you're only Dutch if you are white and if you so Caucasian, and if you were born in the Netherlands. Other than that, you're not seen as Dutch. Okay, you've got a bunch of Moroccans in the Netherlands, you name it. Okay, a bunch of Turkish people, and a bunch of Surinamese people, quote unquote people. Code19 says also Surinamese people are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. I don't know. I think that they're too stupid. Even they don't even know what Stockholm syndrome is. They're too stupid to realize. You know, they're too ignorant to suffer from Stockholm syndrome. So I think it's just Vermin syndrome, if there is such a thing as Vermin syndrome. So yeah, in any case, and yeah, it's sad, honestly, but yeah, there's nothing that you can do about it. Pretty much, like I said, this is something that is greater than. This is something that's greater than us, okay? And things should just take their natural course. That's the opinion that I have. Of course, it's a shame, but again, like I said, there's nothing you can do. Pretty much, I wouldn't stand for it. Of course, if I lived in one of these countries, at least I try to save or retain my country's nationality and to keep things together and intact. You know, the same way that Donald Trump is doing in a certain way. But even then, I think it's inevitable. Okay, it's inevitable. The downfall of a society is inevitable. When people reach a point, or when a society reaches its point where it just doesn't care about its own well-being anymore, then there's nothing you can do. People are completely superficial, so everything is just about money. Everything is just about going about daily life and whatnot. David B is asking me how many years do you think until the fall? 20 to 25 years. 20 to 25 years. Code Nanatin is asking me what's that perfume. He's looking at my background. He's looking at my wardrobe closet there. That perfume is Lacoste perfume. That's all. If you look closely, you can see the crocodile emblem. Yeah. So yeah, I do wonder where all that power is going to shift to. I just hope that my internet doesn't fall out again, my worthless internet connection. It doesn't fall out again if it starts to rain heavily. We'll see. The backup should be intact, but the backup is going to be crap. In any case, yeah. David B says that's soon. Yes, that is soon, 20 to 25 years. It's not far away. We'll all get to experience it. And in any case, some say 100 years. Now, 100 years is too long, okay? 100 years is too long. And from an occult perspective, I don't know if any of you have heard of this, but certain so-called seers, people that could see into the future, like Baba Yanga or Vanga, whatever her name is, and Nostradamus, they predicted this. They said something along the lines of the West will grow weak. So that's the current time period we find ourselves in, and Europe, that's still to come. Europe will turn into a wasteland. Something along the lines of Muslims turning Italy into a caliphate, capital, and it just goes on. So yeah, you can simply look these up. Okay, prophecies about prophecies from Nostradamus on the fall of the West, or Baba Vanga or Baba Yanga, fall of the West. David B says, well, wasteland is pretty close because of the constant heat wave. Yeah, you guys aren't the only one experiencing a heat wave. I'm also experiencing it here. It's like Jesus, I literally feel like a fucking baked egg, okay? It's close to 40, honestly. Okay, Google, the current temperature.
In Danube Grand right now, it's 32 degrees Celsius. Due to the current humidity, it feels like it's 36.
There you go. David B says even in Greenland they experience a heat wave. Nanantine says then there is no point in having children. Well, nah, listen, this has happened. That's stupid. Okay, I'm not calling you stupid, but what you just said is wrong, dead wrong. It's stupid. Since the beginning, this is something that has been happening since the beginning of mankind. As the saying goes, regardless of what happens, the show must go on and life just goes on. Regardless of what kind of circumstances the world finds itself in, people will always procreate just for the sake of procreating. David B says it's like a cycle. It is a cycle, not like a cycle. It is a cycle, and it's not just. It doesn't apply to just the civilizations, the rise and fall of civilizations. It applies to everything pretty much. Everything reaches its peak, and then boom, things go downhill from there. I mean, even us as human beings, okay, your physical body at a certain point also reaches its peak when you're in the prime of your life. That's what's called being in the prime of your life, being in your prime. And then it's just downhill from there, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, your body will start to give away. And you're dead before you know it. Boom. It's cremation for you or being buried for you. Provided that you don't get murdered or some shit. David B says the Roman Empire, Mongols, Aztecs, Mayans, Sumerians, Akkadians. Yeah, exactly. My point exactly. Okay, the last known example was Rome, as far as I can remember. They reached their peak and then things took a nosedive. For Rome, it was the exact same thing. Illegal migrants, no one wanted to serve in the army. Romans became lazy. The once so strong and disciplined Romans literally did not want to lift up a shield and pick up the sword anymore. You had a bunch of corrupt politicians in the Senate, in the Roman Senate, that only cared about themselves. You had a bunch of generals whose soldiers would only follow them. So it just turned into a free for all at a certain point, and Rome just didn't have any money anymore, and you kept having barbaric invasion after invasion from several sources, invasions from the Ostrogoths, from the Visigoths, all kinds of Germanic tribes, and before you knew it, Rome just crashed. Rome just got sacked repeatedly, and that's it. And that pretty much marked the end of Rome. Okay, Rome was literally just divided into pieces. It's the same thing when Alexander died. Alexander was the only thing that kept his entire empire, everything that he conquered together. After the second Alexander died, the entire empire, okay, fragmented, and they basically carved up all of Alexander's well-known generals like Ptolemy and whatnot. They simply took a chunk of land and said, okay, this is mine. And they named it after themselves, and it just kept going on and on and on in the wake of Alexander's death. So it's the same thing. And one by one, they started killing each other and taking over each other's territories, and it just goes on. Code 19 says that people realize that they are mortal would be much better. David B says Guyana attacks Suriname. Would you take a rifle and defend Suriname? I think my reaction speaks for itself. Okay, that's a good one. No, that's rich. Okay, defend Suriname. That's a good one. Listen, in order to be that thing actually has to be worth something. Okay, it has to be worth something in order to defend it. So that's my answer pretty much. Jason Dunn says, if we have reached adepthood as magicians in this life, will we reincarnate as magicians in the next life if we choose to come back? Well, that's the thing. You don't have a choice in the matter. You never had a choice. Okay, that's obvious. You didn't choose your name. You didn't choose to look the way you do. You didn't choose anything. It's the same thing with me. I didn't choose to be a magician. I didn't choose my name. I didn't choose to look the way I look. Nothing. Everything is handed down to us by the big man, and we just have to deal with it as best as possible. David B says LMAO, but in general, if you lived in a country you like, would you defend it against attackers? Yes. Okay, when I move here, right, the country that I move to, I would defend that country to the death. Okay, once I gain citizenship and everything, I'm completely integrated, no issues, nothing, and the country is good to me. No. I will defend that country with my last breath. Period. Conan team says Guyana better than Suriname. A bit better, yeah, in some aspects. Okay, unemployment is, I think, more present in Guyana than in Suriname, but Guyana is still, generally speaking, a bit more organized. Guyana is primarily populated by Indians, so by Hindus, and blacks, I think, come in second place or something. But yeah, Guyana is, generally speaking, a bit better than Suriname. I think the average person in Guyana makes like $400 or $350, $100 more than here. David B says, long time since I've heard such a statement. Yeah, but again, we've reached a point where no one is willing to fight for their countries anymore. I mean, seriously, our forefathers would roll over in their graves. Okay. David B says, mostly I hear that they desert or just surrender. Yeah, I think there was also something along the lines of an inquiry or they held some kind of some kind of questionnaire, I think on a Dutch website, and asked people if they would be willing to go to war for their country. The majority said fuck no. The majority openly said fuck no. Okay, and it just proves my point. Okay, nowadays nationalism is hard to find. Oh, Jason Dunn says I need to make a move now. Moreno got to eat and get a few things sorted here later, y'all. Yeah, sure, no problem, Jason. I'll see you later, or I'll see you when I see you. David B says because usually it's just fighting for people in suits, like a useless war that no one asked for. Yeah, exactly. A useless war that no one asked for, indeed. I also have a problem fighting for a cause that I'm not aware of or familiar with. I'd like to know what I'm fighting for. You name it, but it's okay. A lot of soldiers just want to do. A lot of soldiers just want to do their jobs. You know, they just want to do what they're instructed to do without questioning authority, and of course, that's not a good idea. But then again, a lot of soldiers that enlist in the army are a lot of soldiers that enlist in the army are grunts. You know, they're not exactly they're not intellectual types. They're just muscle. I'm not insulting any Marine here or any soldier or anyone that has served for their country military-wise. But yeah, see, look, back in the day, people actually had self-worth and integrity. People actually knew what honor meant, defending one's honor to the point where they were willing to spill blood over it. Nowadays, no, you've got a bunch of pissant wannabes. I could just smack someone and they'll immediately lose their minds, or they'll start screaming or something. The second you start putting pressure on them, they start to cave and they start to lose their fucking shit, you know, they start to lose their minds. Code19 says, is power the ultimate goal? That is a good question. Yeah, power is the ultimate goal. It's all about power in the end. It's all about power. But again, as the saying goes, all good things come to an end, or all good things must come to an end. And nothing lasts forever. So yeah, again, it's happening all over. Even Australia, New Zealand, you name it, all of them, or fighting dust, all of them. And yeah, there's nothing you can do pretty much about it. But from a cult perspective, these seers were right, or they come dangerously close to being correct. Of course, they didn't get everything right, but well, the West Growing Week, we're seeing that right now. Okay, with all kinds of circus freaks popping up out of the ground, out of the soil, and the West actively trying to undermine itself in the form of lies and deception and all kinds of other crap. Hate speech. Hate speech, that's a good one. I think if you ask someone in the 90s what hate speech was, they'd look at you and they'd say, what the fuck is that, hate speech? The whole concept of again, I have no idea where people get this shit from, you know. It's just, but again, as Jesus said, an empire or a household divided cannot possibly hope to stand. So that says enough. David B says, is there a civilization you find interesting? I like all civilizations besides Eastern ones, to be honest. I'm more neutral towards Eastern ones. The Chinese, the Indians, and whatnot. But for the rest, I love every civilization out there. That's why I'm so knowledgeable on them, even if I say so myself, or at least knowledgeable on a basic level. The Romans, the Akkadians, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Sumerians, I said the Sumerians already. You name it. I pretty much am familiar with history as a whole. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, everything: the Vikings, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Macedonians. You name it. Just answer me. Just give me a question. I think I can answer it relating to history. The K Park Dog says I have a small. Eric Anderson has come online. Hello, Anderson. K Park Dog says I have a small city or neighborhood to defend where I live, Las Vegas, Nevada. Surrounded by deserts. I don't know to defend the whole country except with drones, FPV mini jets, not those quadcopters. Code 919 says hate speech, racism, all this shit, the new terms. Yeah, exactly. And I personally don't have a problem with someone that's racist. I mean, racism is not moral, of course. Hating someone just because of their ethnicity or their ethnic makeup or skin color is just it's stupid and illogical and it's just ignorant. But it's not illegal. So honestly, I don't care. If someone is racist, then yeah, knock yourself out. You can be racist, but it's not something that you have to worry about, generally speaking. I mean, there are tons of things. Smoking is also bad for you, but yet so many people all across the globe smoke.
Do you speak a Chinese? No, we do. Let's sing that.
David B says, I think if someone would travel back in time and tell them how the world is today, I think they would commit suicide from what they would learn about today's world. Screw that, okay? Hitler would commit suicide. I think Hitler would commit suicide to see what his beautiful Third Reich has become, what his beautiful Deutschland has become. Eric Anderson says, ha ha ha. Do you smoke weed? Eric Anderson, is something wrong? K Park Dog says, have you ever smoked any different herbs? I'm really interested in Sumerians. David B says, because if I recall correctly, they were the first ones, like the civilization. Yeah, but you can't confirm that unless you know. Despite it doesn't matter how much evidence you find. It's just you can't confirm that, so you can't be sure. But yeah, but even then, it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter who was the first in terms of civilization and whatnot. But aside from that, from an occult viewpoint, the end is nigh. The end of the world is near. Okay, we're pretty much in the last phase of existence, and yeah, the end can come at any second or any minute or any moment. But obviously, God is the one that will decide that. Eric Anderson says, "I find what's wrong." No, nothing's wrong. I just thought maybe maybe you had a problem with what we're discussing or something. I'm just wondering, based on your comment, Eric Anderson. So yeah, that is Code 19 says this moment is inevitable. All we have is the moment, nor the past, nor the future. So yeah, there is pretty much nothing you can do. What will be, and but again, it's also tied to the occult. In case you haven't noticed too, Christianity is being hated on the most as a religion, and Islam is experiencing a resurgence or is experiencing a peak again. People are pretty much bashing on Christianity, and all things of an Islamic nature are approved. So yeah, it's just David B says, well, I think it's the opposite, but it depends where. On a global level, David B, that is the case, okay? Christians are being heavily persecuted and being killed and whatnot, regardless of location, just taken the entire world taken into account. And with Islam, it's the exact opposite. Islam seems to be gaining more foothold, of course, with all the corruption in the West. And you've got thousands upon thousands of Muslims in places where 10 years ago you wouldn't even see a single Muslim. I don't really have a problem with Muslims per se, but similar to Indians, I'm not too fond of them. Code 19 says Islam looks like a parody of Christianity. And yeah, it just reminds me of the time when the Ottoman Empire was at its strongest and it set its sights on Europe and conquering Europe.
Let's sing now, yeah.
It set its sights. It set its sights on conquering Europe. It set its sights on conquering Europe, and they ultimately failed, of course, but they still gained a good deal of ground. Eastern Europe was occupied by them. You name it. They reached. They reached. Well, let's see. The Ottoman Empire, as I recall it, they reached Austria, I think, at the most. I don't know if Hungary also fell to them, but in any case, that's the furthest that they reached. And yeah, they for them it was down. Everything was downhill from there. Nee, dat begrijp ik. Ik begrijp je wel, of ik begrijp je wel. Maar mijn punt is, stel dat ik het al heb bezocht, want ik heb het al bezocht en ik zou weer op de tour willen gaan. Voor mij hoeft Bird Paradise dan niet meer. Hoe zou die tour dan uitzien? We zouden dan gewoon verder rijden of hoe zit het? Ja. David B said the problem with the Ottomans, the problem for why the Ottomans failed is because of their conservatism. They had a peak when they conquered the Balkans, but failed miserably because they didn't research any technologies and because of Islam stayed conservative. Yeah, in a certain way, yes. Cape Paradox says the Pope has messed up the Bible. The last popes burned people alive for believing something else. Jesus Christ told people the truth and didn't force them. Yes, I understand. Yeah, so Christianity is also corrupt for a good portion. Unfortunately, we're talking about mainstream Christianity, and you notice that during the Crusades, okay, when the Crusaders sacked Constantinople and so on, you could tell how greedy they were, and all they cared about was money and so on. It's just corruption under the guise of doing God's or defending God's word and whatnot. Code 19 says, would you fuck Buklaw if she appeared in real life? Buklaw is not a she. Rick Anderson is asking whether Allah is a pagan god. K Paradox was exactly. As far as I know, no. Allah is the Islamic version of Yahweh. K Paradox says they making bank. Yes, I've always said this. That's one of the reasons why I'm so against organized religions, mainstream religions, because they're corrupt to the core, all of them. They only care about making money. They're not religions, pretty much. They're not religions, really. They are just. They're not religions. They are just. How should I put this? They're more like companies focusing primarily on having the support of a lot of them and whatnot, and yeah. That's all they care about. They're like a company. They just care about making a profit as much as possible and simply maintaining the support and blinding the masses is simply how they stay in power, especially in the medieval times. In medieval times, I'm assuming that you guys can remember what it was like in medieval times and how much in medieval times, how much of society the church had under its wing. The church was pretty much, I think, even powerful than the government itself. Or the church was the government, and anything that you said that was against the word of God or blasphemy got you either hanged or burned alive, burned at the stake, or some shit. David B says there is like 5% tax from your income if you affiliate yourself with Christianity. Code 19 says how far is the digital office from your location? Why are you asking, Code 919? The nearest digital office is not too far, like a couple of kilometers. Quote Nanatin says you may want to make friends with them for faster internet. No, I don't think so. Okay. Digicel, like pretty much Suriname as a whole, is incompetent of offering, for the most part, incompetent when it comes to offering something of actual quality. In any case, yeah, you can see a bunch of these places. It sucks to live in one of these places right now. If you were someone that had plans for settling there and whatnot, it would just suck to live there. I mean, seeing your country go down the drain in terms of culture and it just being turned into a shit show. Period. A once great country. It's like seeing a beautiful woman that was once, really beautiful and really hot, all of a sudden have children and end up looking like Shrek. It's just a fucking nightmare. So yeah, I understand the sentiment. David B says, I can imagine. K Park Dog says, Murino, what do you think of the Satanic Church getting the right to have religious freedom? Religious freedom, and were able to put up the Baphomet statue in front of town square with two little kid statues at Baphomet's lap. They gotta be in contact with an angel spirit. No, not really. Okay, the Church of Satan is literally just a church or a religious organization that uses Satan as a symbol for self-empowerment, independence, and free from the yoke of any oppressing individual or oppressor. Because according to them, Yahweh is the oppressor, and he is evil, and Satan is good because Satan was the underdog. Satan was like Rocky. But of course, they are right in a certain way, but they're also wrong because, like I said, Yahweh is Almighty, and we have no other choice in the matter. Okay, they are everything that's allowed. Even guys that are anti-Yahweh. Okay, not atheists, but people that are anti-God and people that take the Lord's name in vain. Blah blah blah. Even these people are simply being allowed to exist by God's rules. Again, everything diverts directly back to him. So the notion of rebelling against God is just stupid. There is no such thing. So it's just stupid, period. So yeah, it's still fucking hot. David B says, I don't know why some people don't understand the sentence, you can't help everybody when they hear it if they get offended. Yeah, that's true. Okay, this applies to me directly, job-wise. I've had customers. I'm gonna tell you guys openly. Okay, I've had customers that I simply booted. Ever since my business started, there have been people that you know how parasitic occult people can be, or people that have an interest in the occult. I've had everything from people begging me to help them out for free, or people begging me to help them first and then they'll pay afterwards when they're not going to do so. You know, the begging parasitic kind. And and these kind of people, I have turned down a client or would-be client or customer on more than one occasion, to the point where I had enough of that person and I told that person, listen, fuck it, okay, we're done. Find someone else to help you, and I don't want to help you anymore. It doesn't matter how much they ask me for my help or how much they pleaded with me or something similar. I just don't care. I'm cold that way. I'm cold like that. And you need to be cold too in that regard or in that aspect. And what you're saying literally applies to what I do. Okay, you can't help everyone. It doesn't matter how many people you help if you're a charitable organization, not that I am, but I'm just giving an example. Even if you had a charity, there will always be more people out there. You help one person today with their problems, and tomorrow 3 or 5 more pop up, and it just goes on. It's like a bottomless pit. Honestly, that's what it's like. It's like a void. Doesn't matter how many people you help out. Things just keep going worse and worse and worse and worse. That doesn't mean that you should stop trying. Obviously, still do what you think is right. Do right by what you think is right. But generally speaking, you won't be able to help everyone. Of course not. There will always be people, animals, whatever in the world that are suffering in one way, shape, or form, and you simply can't help them. It's like you're a crime detective and there are murders taking place. It doesn't matter how well you do your best, how well you do your job, how much you put on the line, even if it's your own life that you're putting on the line. You can't help everyone, period. And you especially can't help others if you can't help yourself first. Um, it reminds me of a local. It reminds me of a local animal shelter here in Suriname, for example. You can imagine, in most third world shitholes, there is nothing. Okay, so you can imagine people already have as little rights as possible. There are no human rights. There's no quality of life. So yeah. So you can imagine that animals have to take the brunt of everything. Okay, animals are pretty much left to fend for themselves, and animals simply can't be defended or something like that. They literally just they're left to fend for themselves. Okay, and you have a bunch of people that do things like shoot dogs and or kill stray animals, some kind of nut job wannabe serial killer. You have stuff like that. You have stuff like that even here. Okay, and there is a local animal shelter that stands up for the rights of animals and that has introduced the rights of animals here. It was fronted, or it's being fronted by Dutch people. It's being spearheaded by Dutch people, so management is Dutch, generally speaking. But to be honest, they're Euro trash. Of course, I applaud the sentiment. Of course, I love dogs, but a big mistake that they're making is that they can't even take care of themselves. The animal shelter relies on volunteers in order to get things done. They rely on donations from external parties or people in order to feed their stray animals that they have in their cages. So they don't even have a source of income. So that's what I mean. And it's just stupid, okay? Even a charity, you have to treat a charity like it's a business. How are you going to help other people or other things when you can't even help yourself? That's my point. You need to be able to wipe your own ass first before you can wipe the asses of others. But it's like a cripple trying to help other crippled people. How are you going to help other people when you yourself are crippled? Let's be honest. The blind leading the blind. You're blind, but you're trying to lead other blind people. It's not going to work. So you need to be able to, even if you're a charity, you need a viable income. You need a strong foothold within society. And only then can you actually help people. You can help integrate others in an effective way. Otherwise, it's literally like carrying water to sea. So it's just stupid. And yeah, like most companies and organizations in Suriname, they're too stupid to know what continuity is and perseverance and consistency. The way that companies locally work is that these companies have some kind of startup investment. They have a good deal of startup money. They start up, they advertise heavily. They're really front runners in the first year of their existence. And everything goes down the drain from there. When the animal shelter had first opened itself up here, they heavily advertised on television, radio. They worked together with police. They petitioned people for animals that were treated cruelly by people. For example, just people in neighborhoods keeping their dogs on 1 meter leashes or 2 meter leashes in just weather, everything, just being exposed to the elements and whatnot without a dog, without any kind of proper animal accommodation like a dog house and so on. They just they started petitioning people with the police. They started working together with the police to crack down on these kind of animal abusers. They fed, they gave food to stray dogs in certain locations, and it just kept going on. And after a while, you heard nothing. It's like they ceased to exist. And if you visit the local animal shelter now, it looks like Honestly, it looks like a car graveyard, or it just looks like a fucking graveyard. It looks like an abandoned building. If you call, no one picks up. Communication is practically non-existent. Nothing. And it's just pathetic. Okay, my point is, if you're going to help others, you need to see to it that you can help yourself. You need to not only have a strong foothold, but you need to remain consistent within society. Don't just let it be a phase in which you're really putting your best foot forward and you're really sticking your neck out. You need to continuously stick out your neck in order to help other people. But how are you going to help other people when you can't even help yourself? And yeah, the problem with the local shelter, for example, is that they have no funds. That's the problem, okay? They have no source of income. So if something needs to be bought or so, it's either relying on volunteers, and if there are no volunteers, then boom, things just stay the way they are. And it's pathetic, to be honest, honestly. Code 19 says, yes, I agree with your opinion. If a customer paid for a financial gain, will he receive more than he paid for in the services? It all depends on the situation. It's not black and white, Code 19. If a customer wants something love related, then it all depends on the situation and that customer's inquiry and his life as a whole. Code 19 says, correction, it's a fact, not an opinion. David B says, you can't let 1 million refugees into your country. Well, Eric Anderson is again in the Eric Anderson is again in a mood to retract his messages. Not that I mind. Knock yourself out with your retracted messages. Eric Anderson says, you're right. Ha ha ha. David B says, sad thing about charity, only small percentage actually goes to where it's supposed to go. Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't. That's why, to be honest, I do not give money to charities, generally speaking. No substantial amount in any case, unless I know for sure that my money is going to go to where it's supposed to go. Code 19 is laughing and he's asking me whether police are corrupt. You mean in Suriname? Everything is corrupt. Everything and every fucking one is corrupt. 90% of society is corrupt. I'm sorry, 85% of society is corrupt. So if you want to make parking tickets disappear and heavy shit like that, then yes, it can be done. Okay. David B says, is there even an army? What's supposed to be an army? Army of vermin, retarded vermin. Honestly, I should pity Suriname, but I don't. But yeah, you guys understand my point in any case. If you want to help others, you need to see to it that you help yourself first. You need to gain a strong foothold first. The same way that you would, a charity is a company. Above all, it's just a company that focuses on helping others instead of just making a profit. But you should still treat it as a company nevertheless. That means that you need to be consistent. You need to have a steady, at the very least, minimal level of income that you can use to pay the bills with. You need all the correct elements, okay? But you can't just have some kind of organization and say that, hey, your intentions were good, but you lack organizational capacity and you simply fail in helping others. Because I don't see, honestly, it's literally like carrying water to sea. I don't see an animal, for example, a stray animal finding a loving home, and then all of a sudden that animal misbehaves to the point where the people just say, okay, I'm sorry, I've had enough, and the kennel won't take them back. And what's going to happen? That person is going to discard that animal across alongside the street again, and the cycle just repeats itself. It's like a vicious cycle. Something like that should not happen. David B says, with bows and swords. No, they have weapons, firearms, but they're hopelessly outdated. Just think of something along the lines of North Korea. David B says, funny how people see this type of mindset as selfish. No, that's bullshit, okay? Don't allow people to guilt you into anything. If you're selfish, then fine. It's your decision to be selfish. You live for yourself. You don't live for other people. If you want to live for others, then that is a decision that you and you alone can make, because it's what? It's your life. It's your life. So you can't do anything else. It's your fucking life. End of story. So there's nothing wrong, even if you are selfish, there's nothing wrong with being selfish. You need to put yourself first. No one else is going to put you. No one else is going to put you, generally speaking, first above themselves. So you need to put yourself first and take things from there. Okay, I honestly, I wouldn't mind opening up a charitable foundation or an organization, but you need to be less sympathetic and more business wise. Otherwise, you'll end up the losing party, and that's the end of you. If you're really genuinely interested in helping others, then you need to think more in a robotic way. Okay, if you, for example, open up some kind of home for some kind of shelter for the homeless, a homeless shelter or something similar, then it's not just about giving the homeless food and a place to sleep. You need to work towards, or you need to introduce a program, or you need to actively carry out a program. You need to carry out a program that not only helps people, but to see to it that the problem is permanently solved. You need to see to it that that person gets removed from the streets, off of the streets, and can finally function as a normal person in society. Otherwise, what good is it? What good is it if you just give a homeless person food and shelter, but that person remains homeless? What are you going to do? Are you going to continue giving that person just giving, 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 and the problem isn't permanently solved? It's literally like I don't know. I can't come up with a proper example. It's literally like carrying water to sea. Good to see that people are having fun in the chat bar. Code 919 is following Eric's suit and retracted his messages too. Eric Anderson is very proud and says Eric Code 919 is Eric 2.0. Good to see that you guys are having fun. So yeah, does anyone have any other questions? But that's pretty much it, okay, on the fall of once great civilizations. You name it, Denmark, all fucking places, okay, everywhere, I swear. Everything, the entire world is losing its shit, or the entire world is going down the drain, as far as I can tell. Nothing works properly anymore. Everything happens with a delay. When I try to open up Facebook, it's like I have to wait at least 3 minutes before Facebook opens up. Before Facebook opens up normally, if I want to open up, if I want to open YouTube, it also takes a while. If I want to go live by live streaming, it takes at least 5 to 6 seconds, where it used to only take 1 second. All good things come to an end, and every good thing, you can pretty much say that its days are numbered. Code 919 says, okay, let's talk about Surinamese Haris. Okay, you want to talk about Surinamese Haris again? Just think about that hot bitch that I showed you guys yesterday. David B wasn't online yesterday. David B, I'm addressing you directly. Want to see something? Want to see a hot piece of ass? Want to see a hot piece of ass? Okay, the others already know what I'm gonna show you. I don't think they want to see it again. Hold on for a second. Just give me a second. Let me find it. Come on, open up. What the fuck is that thing again, man? Hold on. Hold on, David B, I found it. Hold on. Patience. I'm gonna show you one of the hottest women in Suriname. There, watch that link. Watch. And tell me what you think about it. Okay, David B, tell me what you think about this hot piece of ass. A moment, ladies and gentlemen, so that we can get David B's reaction. David B says I'm scared, lol. Open the fucking thing and watch it. And let me know what you think. David B says, oh no. Oh, Nanantin says, Moreno says he likes her. Thanks for the nightmare, David B says. It's a local woman that has a tumor, you know, in her mouth, as you can see. And you can see for yourself too how horrifying it is. I think even the ugliest demon that I've seen, that I've summoned or spoken to, is not that ugly. But yeah, that's messed up. That's fucked up. So yeah. Does anyone have any statements to make or any kind of comments or any kind of anything at all? Candace says, dear God, awful. Code Nanantin says she deserves Mr. Number Work. I agree. It's finally started. David B says, are Surinamese hospitals capable of treating that? Fuck no. He needs foreign surgical specialists. She needs foreign surgical specialists. That's what she needs. David B says, damn, so that's never going to happen. It might, but via charity. It might, but via charity. It's like the rain. It wants the rain. It's been wanting to rain for the past 2 hours ever since I started the stream. But it's like the rain is holding itself in. It's like a guy trying to hold his own urine in, you know, instead of just going. David B says, I don't know how are black people in Suriname like those Bushmen. Quote 19 says, is it cool now? No, it's not fucking cool. It's still hot as fuck. I mean, how did they get their slave trade? Yeah. In the relation to Suriname's history, it's just, you know, the same thing as most shitholes. The Dutch, when they colonized here, they brought blacks here, Indians here, and Indonesians here primarily as a means of cheap labor, and that's pretty much it. And you already have natives here. You already have Native Americans here, but you know, the whites either ignored them or just purged them. Code 19 says, hope it releases as soon as possible. Yeah, so do I. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Holy crap, I just saw a bolt of lightning. I seriously hope that the internet does not fall out again. Piece of shit Digicel. So yeah, in any case, David B says, do you agree with slavery or do you condemn it? Both, to be honest. Slavery is simply a matter of may the better man win. Okay? If things were the other way around, if blacks at a certain point within society, okay, if blacks, for example, had a more advanced society, I know for sure that blacks would have colonized European countries and whatnot. So yeah, that's no dice. So slavery is not a crime. Slavery is just also not a page out of the black book of. It's not a black page or a dark page in human society. Okay, whites have also been enslaved and more gruesomely so than blacks in the Ottoman slave trade. So yeah, it's just bullshit. It's just pure nonsense. Okay. So yeah, I do condemn slavery because it's inhuman, you know, treating someone like you're their property. But at the same time, I'm definitely never, ever, ever to going to support something as stupid as reparations and some kind of bullshit. Yeah, I know it's funny. Not funny. It's offensive how Black Americans want reparations. These are just parasites. Okay, they're just leeches. They're trying to play the victim, and you have some dumb white people in the U.S., in Europe too, even okay, that are actually falling for it. They feel some kind of misplaced or misjudged guilt for what their ancestors did. Newsflash, your ancestors were conquerors. There's nothing wrong with that. Your ancestors simply wanted to gain more power, and the rest simply stood in the way. If it were the other way around, okay, when the Ottomans gained power, they also enslaved millions upon millions of whites, but you don't hear any fucking white person complaining about reparations and shit, nor do you hear pretty much any other ethnicity complain about it. Again, it's not about slavery at all. They just want to get as much free shit as possible. That's all that they want. Listen, I don't want to be an asshole, but we all know how worthless blacks are. They're not the only ones, but they're definitely one of the most worthless in terms of ethnicities. So again, they just love, sticking their hands out and asking for free stuff. They, generally speaking, most of them, they have no sense of self-worth and they don't know what it means to simply have pride and whatnot. Code 919 says Furman syndrome, people deserve slavery. David B says true. Nobody cares because it's in the past. You can see their progress in sub-Saharan Africa after colonists left, all failed. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. That's my point. I have also been taken advantage of by the system in the sense that I've worked for minimum wage and whatnot. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to hate on my employer and demand reparations because, hey, you abused me when when I found myself in a disenfranchised position. No, that's bullshit, okay? But like I said, it's not about slavery. It's not about slavery at all. It's just about the fact that blacks and that these kind of ethnic minorities, they love to play the victim. They love to play the victim. It's the equivalent of someone that was wounded in a fight and just says, "Oh fuck, got me. He stabbed me. Please, I'm dying. I'm dying. Please give me water. Treat my wound and shit." It's just, it makes me honestly, it makes me hate people like that even more. I would never ask someone for reparations. I don't give a shit what happened in the past. It doesn't matter whether my ancestors were enslaved or what kind of gruesome treatment they went through. That's their problem. I am, of course, faced with the indirect consequences of their lives or their lack of any kind of victory they managed to score back then when it was kill or be killed. But I'm not going to place the blame on the person that conquered my ancestors' ethnic race. That's just stupid. That has to be one of the stupidest things in existence. But again, like I said, this has nothing to do with logic or anything like that. This is solely about playing the victim in order to get free shit. The whole concept of reparations is stupid and it's offensive and it shouldn't exist. To me, there is no such thing as reparation. The person that is stupid enough to ask me for reparations is going to get my foot up their ass, more or less. Eric Anderson says slavery is older than recorded history. Yes, I agree. Okay, in some places slavery has even existed up to this day. Okay, but again, David B says, when I read or listened to blacks in America, I think they should get deported to Africa and see how to live among their own people. They would change their minds so fast because even blacks hate other blacks based on their ethnicity. Yeah, that's normal. In Africa, Africa is a fucking shit show, okay? You've got guerrilla wars, you've got political unrest, you know, any jackass that finds an AK-47, a used AK-47, wants to pretend to be the warlord, and that's one of the main reasons why Africa is beyond worthless. I'm not saying that blacks, it's a generalization when I say that blacks are worthless. That doesn't mean that every black person on this planet is worthless. But statistically speaking, most of them are. They take the gold, honestly. They literally take gold, first place in terms of worthlessness. And they're not worthless because of their skin color. They're worthless because of their attitude. I've said this to people numerous times. You're not worthless because you're black. You're worthless because of the attitude that your kind displays on a large scale. I mean, the entire world would be so grateful if blacks could actually just man up and act like normal people instead of acting like you know what. David B says, because even blacks hate. Oh, I'm just rereading your own comment. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a new comment. So yeah, other ethnicities aren't too okay. Other ethnicities aren't exactly a lot better, to be honest. Let's be frank. Indians and other colored ethnicities are also a huge fucking problem, but not nearly on the scale that blacks are. In Europe, you had to get agriculture because you couldn't just get bananas or oranges and hunt some gazelles. Yeah, but nah, okay. Africa is also a fucking wasteland. There's obviously also wildlife present, but just under 40 degrees is also a fucking hell. I'd much rather freeze to death than be burned alive. Have you ever tried sticking your hand in freezing water? It hurts, but the pain is bearable. You can leave it there for at least a minute before your hand goes numb. And it doesn't hurt as much. When it comes to just opening up a thingy, a stove pit, just put a fire, just go to a stove and just light one of the burners and put your hand over it. You can't even hold it there for 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds. And it hurts so much. So imagine what it's like to be burned alive. So yeah, there you go. No, generally speaking, it's a lack of self-worth and it's a lack of morals. It's a lack of morals and a lack of self-worth and integrity. Okay. Whites, generally speaking, they have statistically a lot more in the way of morals and self-worth than blacks do or than any other colored ethnicity do. And that's why white countries are doing a lot better and white civilizations have been doing better. I mean, Middle Eastern civilizations used to do well in pre-Christian times and all the way up until the medieval times. But after that, things just took a nosedive. You know, things just took a nosedive, and that's why the Middle East is also a piece of shit. David B says, but it goes downhill as well. Eric Anderson says all races were once slaves at one point or another. Yeah, exactly. My point exactly. Not only that, okay, as far as I know, based on my knowledge, Caucasians had to endure the most in terms of slavery. As far as I remember it, that's where the phrase Slavic comes from. Eastern Europeans are generally speaking called Slavs, Slavs. These are Slavic countries or Baltic countries, and that's where the term comes from. Slav is a reference to slave. It dates back to when they were slaves in the Ottoman Empire, because in medieval times the Ottoman Empire still ruled over regions that are now Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, Yugoslavia, the Ukraine, and blah blah blah. Yeah, I do remember that. Okay, I am not 100% sure if it's true, if that's really the reason that Slavs are called Slavs, but it does make sense. David B says the word also means glory. Okay, could be. You don't see any white person asking for fucking reparations. I've never heard one person say, okay, I want reparations from a Muslim because my great grandfather was enslaved by the Ottomans and bullshit. Oh, I think that was called the the slavery. The slavery that we all know is the transatlantic slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, and the one that I'm referring to is called the Ottoman slave trade, as I remember, or as I recall. Oh, David B says that would be really ridiculously funny. Can't imagine someone saying it with a straight face. I'm assuming you mean Slav. Oh, you mean what I just said? A white person asking a descendant of the Ottoman Empire for a white person asking a Muslim for reparations. I think even the Muslim is gonna crack up. Even the Muslim won't be able to keep a straight face. The Muslim is going to be like, seriously, seriously. Eric Anderson says only white trash. Eric Anderson, to be honest, not even white trash, not even Euro trash does something like that. Even again, most whites that I see here are literally second and third class citizens, and they're basically rejects of Dutch, primarily Dutch society. You know, no one gives a shit about them in the Netherlands, and they come over here because, as the saying goes, in the land of the blind, one eye is king. And you know, they're ugly Dutch women, primarily really ugly Dutch women. They're almost as ugly as the vermin here. They're almost as ugly as Surinamese people, and more often than not, they either they couple together with some other ethnicity. I remember I went out to eat a couple of days ago, and I went out to eat, and I saw an ugly white woman, a Dutch woman, undoubtedly, with a black guy. David B says, "Don't cut yourself." No, I will not. This knife is really sharp, Elite Force combat knife. And they again, the woman was obviously just Euro trash, and that's just an example. But even they, I don't think even they would have the balls to actually ask for reparations. I don't think that even they are that stupid. David B just fell for the BBC. Yeah, you know, for blacks, it's amazing. You know, for a lot of people of color, there is a phenomenon, not just here. I think it's a global phenomenon, or at the very least, it's also present in other third world countries. But here, there is something called in Surinamese, it's called opoy kleur. In converted to English or translated to English, it means dilute your skin color. It's simply a reference to people of color, specifically black people, trying to hook up with someone of a lighter skin color. And what they're basically being taught by their own kind is that they're worthless because they're black, and they should simply try to dilute their skin color as much as possible. You know, someone in order for their offspring to have a better chance at life, because the lighter you are, the whiter you are, the better. Okay, it increases the likelihood of you being successful. Now, I'm not denying that, because that, generally speaking, is true, but it's just offensive, honestly. How can any normal person teach their children? Would you teach your children that if you were black, that they're worthless just because they're black, and that they should simply seek out a white guy or a white woman to copulate with or to have children with, and in order for future generations to have a better chance at success, you know? But it's just offensive. It's a parasitic mentality. So you're basically thinking that you're going to use my skin color as a springboard to a better life. I don't have a problem with that so much, as long as you bring something of equal value to the table. But the problem is just that they bring nothing to the table. I've had it too here, okay? I've had black women, by the way. The stupid vermin here thinks that I'm white because they can't distinguish between someone that's light skinned like me and someone that's genuinely Caucasian. They're that stupid. So they automatically think I'm a white guy. And I've had more than a couple of black women try to hit on me. We're talking about, these are the lowest of the low. They can't even speak the official language properly. They can't do shit. And they're ugly as fuck too, and yet they still try to hit on me. And I'm like, seriously, do I fucking look like I'm into your kind? Do I look like I like black women? And it's just offensive because it's a parasitic mentality, honestly. It's a parasitic mentality. It You basically just want to improve your own living standard or your quality of life at my expense. You're no different than a leech, a blood-sucking leech. Even the leech is better. I mean, if you brought something to the table, you were really hot, you were really good looking. You're a really good looking black woman. I mean, really, really good looking. You're like Halle Berry or some shit. And, you have a bunch of other things that you bring to the table that gives you value as a person. Then that's something different. But they're just worthless beyond measure. And all they want to do is just leech off of your skin color in terms of success. I've seen it here too, okay? David B says, yes, that applies for Asians. For them, if you have dark skin, it means you're a farmer or a low class peasant. Eric Anderson says, hell no. David B says, LOL. David B says, white as the wall behind you, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. I also strongly disapprove of it. I remember I went swimming at Jacana, that wellness resort here, and once I saw a black guy. The guy literally looked like he just came from the jungle. And I saw him with two beautiful light brown children. And I was like, hey, holy crap, those are the guy's children? He has to be with a white woman because they're caramel colored. So he has to be with a white woman. And I was like, okay, where the hell is the woman? And it turns out that the woman went swimming and he was supposed to look after the children. So he was just like this while watching mommy go swim. Look, kids, mommy's going swimming. And that white woman was fucking ugly. When I say ugly, you better believe she was ugly. Okay, she looked like honestly, she looked kind of like a nerdy type with glasses, but she was fucking ugly. She had an ugly stomach and just disgusting. Okay, she was Dutch, I think. Yeah, she had to be Dutch. She just looks like your average Dutch garbage, and and it just amuses me. Okay, it amused me when I saw it. I was like, holy crap, talk about being whipped. I mean, you can clearly tell that the woman is the dominant one. I'm pretty sure that when they had sex that she was on top and she said, okay, come, I want children, just come already, blah blah blah. And the guy was literally just like this. Oh kids, look, mommy's swimming. And he didn't do anything, and the woman did everything. She was in a bikini. I was like, holy shit, woman, you should not be in a bikini. Know what suits you. You do not deserve, okay? A bikini does not suit anyone, does not suit everyone, and especially not you. And you can clearly tell that it was some Dutch reject. The woman is completely undesirable, even by local standards. But for the guy, it was all about the skin color. I mean, he even brought his grandmother and to basically show her because his grandmother was with him. And I was like, who brings a fucking 80-year-old woman to a swimming resort? And she just sat on the terrace, and I could immediately tell that he just brought her to show her, hey, grandma, look, I finally diluted our skin color, like it was some kind of accomplishment that he had a white wife or that he had children with a white woman. And I think the grandmother also congratulated him in the sense of, you did well, boy. You really diluted our skin color. Now our future generation will finally have a shot at becoming a success, blah, blah, blah. It's just the whole concept of diluting one's skin color is so fucking offensive. Code 919 is laughing. David B says, well, I don't know why I kind of despise women that fall for blacks like that. Code 919 says, more beautiful, more problems. David B says, I need a tissue because I'm in tears from laughing. Believe me, okay, if you're laughing, then what do you think when I first saw that, right, I was like, that's literally what I was like. Oh God, it just, no, it's just offensive. Okay, how can you teach? I blame the parents. How can you teach your children that they're worthless because they're black or because they're colored? Because not only blacks have that, Indians have that too. I remember, I don't want to. I remember a customer of mine. She was also seeing an Indian. Hey, holy crap! She was she was seeing an Indian. I don't want to discuss.
Do you speak a Chinese? No, we do. Let's sing Maria.
I don't want to discuss customer relations extensively, but this is a neutral topic, so I'll still go ahead and discuss it. That was thunder, by the way. That's why I was briefly, I just didn't expect it, so it briefly distracted me because I saw the windows shake and shit. Yeah. A customer of mine, she was Caucasian, and she was seeing an Indian guy, and I said to myself, wait a minute, because that Indian guy was spoiling her and everything. And I was like, wait a minute, he's spoiling you, he's doing this for you, he's doing that for you, he's spending so much money on you. The guy wants to dilute his skin color. The guy literally just wants, let me guess, he's asked you whether he can have children with you. And the answer was yes. And I was like, okay, see, there you go. I knew it. And I was like, no, the guy's literally just looking to dilute his offspring. Okay, that's all. The guy's looking to make offspring with your skin color because he is under the notion that his children have a better chance at success with their skin color by being white or whitish. So yeah, I just think it's offensive. Okay, if you like someone, then you just like someone. If you fell in love with someone, then you fell in love with someone. But not in such a way. No. Okay. David B says some people will call it white privilege. Code 19 says it's like a chemical lab in there. No. No, it's not white privilege. White privilege is another bullshit leftist term to simply bring about the delusion that white people in some way, shape, or form have a better chance at success when it's not the case, okay? It's not the case. It is generally the case, but that's just a prejudice from the world, and you can't blame people for that. Over the course of mankind's history, especially in the past couple of centuries, Caucasians have been the front runners and they have been at the top, ethnically speaking. So I don't blame anyone for thinking that, okay? But there is no such thing as white privilege. Just because I'm white, or just because just because someone is white, doesn't automatically mean that they will get everything handed to them. I mean, how dumb do you have to be to think that there are millions upon millions of white people living in Europe and in the U.S. Think about hillbillies. Think about people living in the sticks. In Europe, one of the poorest countries, I think the poorest country in Europe, as far as I know, is Moldova. Moldova, as far as I know, has white people primarily, yeah. But Moldova is literally Moldova is like a European Suriname. I wonder how much the average person in Moldova makes. I forgot. Let me see, Moldova, cost of living. Yeah, I know, I'm for David B. I'm familiar with Moldova. Okay, make no mistake. Moldova, Chisinau is the capital. Let's see, in euros. Holy shit, Moldova has their own thing in currency. That has to be ridiculously weak. Can't possibly be something. The euro, expressed in euros, how much does the average person in Moldova make? The average monthly net salary after taxes is 264 euros. Holy shit. Oh, it's 264 euros. Holy shit. Oh crap, sorry. Oh shit, I zoomed out by accident. I mean, I zoomed in. How to undo zoom? Shit. Fuck. Hold on for a second. I fucking zoomed in. I zoomed my screen in. How to zoom out of the screen again? 264 euros. That's what the average person makes in Moldova. Moldova is poor as fuck. We're talking about Surinamese levels of worthless. And Moldova is still primarily with white people. So, yeah. And these people aren't good looking, okay? Believe me. These people look raggedy. They look like they're Holocaust survivors. They look like they're from World War II, right after World War II ended. How to unzoom computer screen? Control key. Oh, okay. Control and minus. Let me see. Everything else looks okay. Okay, now my screen is okay now. Yeah, my screen is okay now. Okay. David B says, I mean, Moldova was never like that until the end of their regime and when democracy kicked in, it all went corrupt. Yeah, I know. Moldova in medieval times used to be a force to be reckoned with. I saw a war documentary on kings and generals. And in that time, the Prince of Moldova, the Ottomans tried to invade Moldova and they basically handed their asses to them. They beat the Ottomans multiple times. This was back when Wallachia actually existed, or Wallachia. Okay, Google, Wallachia. I forgot what Wallachia is nowadays, modern day. Romania, yeah, it's modern day Romania. Back then, Romania was called Wallachia, with Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, after who Dracula is mentioned. Yeah. Oh, Conan19 says, what kind of videos would you see if you set your country to Suriname and X videos? If you're looking for Surinamese porn, you can expect something similar to Bestiality Code 919. David B says, just politicians straight up stealing from the people, and that's the result. Pretty sad, to be honest. Yes, part of Romania. That's also the richest region of Romania. Yeah, but Romania isn't doing too well either. Romania is not exactly a front runner when it comes to European power. Romania is also struggling, last time I checked. Let me check. Bucharest, let's see. How much does the average person in Bucharest make? Euro. In euro, where the fuck are you? The average person in Romania makes $641. That's good. Surprisingly good. It's not too bad, not too shabby. It's no Western Europe, but it's still good by Eastern European standards. Eric Anderson says he loves Romanian women. I don't see Romanian women too often. So Romanian women are not bad looking, to be honest. They look like the stereotypical gypsy type. They remind me more of partially being Middle Eastern. They look a bit Asian or Middle Easternish. But that's normal given Romania's history. David B says Moldova was part of Romania as well after World War I. They split. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. I am aware of the fact that Lithuania and Poland used to be one, and it was called the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Code 919 says Latvia, Lithuania, Armenia, Belarus, Russia, Ukraine, and Estonia are among the countries with the largest female populations. I think it's Moldova, Ukraine, Bosnia, and Montenegro that have the lowest incomes. Yeah, because these countries are small and they haven't existed for too long. Montenegro and Bosnia being two of them. Montenegro used to be allied with Serbia, but that's in the past. Bosnia. Honestly, I think it would have been better if Yugoslavia was still in existence. But yeah, the ethnic tensions between Serbs and Bosnians and whatnot saw to the Cold War. So yeah, I understand that. Okay. Yugoslavia basically never stood a chance because of ethnic differences, minor differences. They're all Slavs, but the differences in Slavs are still, they're still too great for them to live together. And that's what trickled the Cold War. Yeah, after Tito died, Tito was the one that held it all together, yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Yugoslavia means land of the Slavs, right? Yugoslavia, land of the Slavs, yeah. Oh. It's pretty much the same thing in South America. It's the same thing in South America, okay? That's why you have several, instead of just being one Latin superpower, you have several Latin countries, okay, because for that same matter, Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, all the countries in South America that pretty much speak Spanish could have all, united as one country as a whole. But there's still the minor differences between all of them. See to it that they simply form their own nations. Code919 says, well, if you make money online, as far as income doesn't affect you, Ukraine is good. Yeah, but that's the case everywhere, okay? When I move, people ask me, but what the hell are you going to do for money? I mean, what kind of job, what kind of work do you do? And I told people, listen, I work online, so I can take my work with me wherever I go. And of course, they have no idea who I really am. David B says they all speak the same language, yet they say it's different just because of their political independence. Instead of working together, they just hate each other nonsense. Yeah, I know. Generally speaking, as far as I know, Russians, Croats, Serbs, and Czechian people understand each other relatively well, or people from Belarus too, because there are minor differences in pronunciation and whatnot. These languages are all derived from Russian, as far as I know. So yeah, these Slavic languages, the core is the same, just like you're saying. Yeah, it's still the same at the core and at its core, and therefore it's easy to understand people. Just differences in pronunciation and whatnot, differences in pronouncing certain words and phrases, and other minor differences. David B says, but it gets different in West, East, and South. But yeah, that's to be expected. That's the case everywhere. In the UK, in large cities like London, you'll be able to make out what people are saying, but move to more rural areas, move to Scotland, for example, the Scottish lowlands, go to the English lowlands, and believe me, you'll have difficulty understanding people, despite the fact that they speak English, because their accent is so thick and fucked up that you won't be able to make sense of what they're saying. You really have to strain yourself for listening to them. I remember calling someone. And the person was from Australia. Okay, rural Australia. Jesus Christ, man! Just talking to the guy was I just understanding the guy was I really had to strain myself via Skype. It's the same everywhere. It's the same thing too in the Netherlands. It's the same thing too in the Netherlands. Okay, you'll be able to understand people in Amsterdam and Rotterdam and large cities, but the deeper you go inland, the deeper you go to places where there are very few people. For example, Limburg, you'll have difficulty understanding people from Limburg, to be honest. It's really messed up, okay? And Frisian too, yeah. Frisian is also different. Frisian is entirely different. Frisian has no relation to Dutch as far as I know whatsoever, okay? Basically, Frisian or Friesland, as it's called, is pretty much a micronation within the Netherlands. They're their own country, to be honest. Hoogeveen is the capital, Hoogeveen. But yeah, I'm familiar with Frisian. You won't be able to understand Dutch people that even if you're fluent in Dutch, you won't be able to make sense of what they're saying. The deeper you go inland, okay, in the Netherlands or in Belgium, even the part of Belgium that speaks Dutch, you'll be able to understand them, but it's best to communicate with each other on paper. If you were to talk to each other just vocally, you'd really have to go like this. What was that? I'm sorry. Minor phrases are different, okay? But there are minor differences. So that's why David B says, for me, I understand Polish, Slovakian, Ukrainian, to some extent Croatian/Serbian, Russian only because I learned at school, but when I got to Croat, Serb, it's like 45-50% same with Ukrainian. Eric Anderson says what he sounds like. I don't know what you mean. David B says Frisian, LOL, yeah. It's different too, okay? As far as I know, Austrians and Germans, there are minor differences. It's still German at the core, but even in Luxembourg, they speak German, but it's a bit different. It's still a bit different. And yeah, like you're saying, Swiss German is like a different world. Yeah. Same goes for Swiss French, okay? It's different than in France. It just is. The same goes for Canadian French. It's different. David B says in Suriname there are some dialects. Yeah, there are dialects. Okay, Surinamese people speak Dutch differently than Dutch people. Dutch people, in some aspects, Surinamese people speak Dutch better than Dutch people in terms of pronunciation and whatnot. It's pretty much the Dutch equivalent of the way that I talk. Whereas Dutch people, it's like they almost sometimes have something in their mouths. They have a pastry in their mouth or something. They have some kind of accent, like oh, blah, 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 blah. That's the way they talk. They sound like a fat guy that's overweight and that has his mouth filled with a couple of French fries. That's what Dutch people, generally speaking, speak like traditionally. That's what a Dutch person speaking Dutch sounds like. Whereas Surinamese people, generally speaking, they're able to pronounce things better. Believe me, a foreigner, even if you were to speak Dutch all of a sudden, or if you were to take a Dutch course, you'd have an easier time understanding a Surinamese person than a Dutch person. Thing is different, okay? The level of pronunciation is different, but that just has to do with voice intonation. Generally speaking, people from Europe, at least the Netherlands, but also French people and so on, they speak it differently. It's not as clear. Their speech is somewhat muffled. Whereas in other areas, for example, former colonies of these countries, people speak more with a flat tone, the same way that I speak. Because people have told me too that my English is exceptionally well. Some people tell me that I exceed native English speakers. That's because people that speak English don't nearly speak English as well as I do. People tell me grammar wise and my grammar usage and the way I simply pronounce words and phrases is almost sometimes excessively clear. Whereas with others, they just skim over words, native English speakers. They like to skim over words, blah, 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 that's it. Code 19 says, what languages do I know? English is my primary language. Dutch is secondary, and I only speak Dutch as a coincidence because I was born here. So Dutch is my native language. So I got Dutch when I was in school. So yeah, that's the only reason I speak Dutch. It's a sheer coincidence. And for the rest, Surinamese, but Surinamese doesn't count. Surinamese is just a piece of shit unofficial language. It's just a local language that is spoken here, and it sounds like any African language or Africanesque language. Rick Anderson says, yes, you speak very good. Thanks, I know. That's it pretty much. I'm not familiar with, I don't speak any other languages. And I was planning on learning French at a certain point. This was last year, but I saw off the idea because I thought to myself, hey, since I'm not going to Canada anymore and I don't intend on getting involved with French people on a day-to-day basis, what good is learning French? It's impractical to learn French. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I also speak Spanish, but very little. I still remember Spanish from my high school days, and they just crammed Spanish knowledge into my head. They just crammed Spanish into my head. They just hammered into my brain to the point where part of it stayed up there. David B says, I'm curious if there's some bad word in Serangan Tongo, mind sharing. Yeah, sure, I don't mind. Code 19 says C. Um, Kolo means fucking, as in that Kolo thing. That fucking thing. Mapang pang. Mapampa means your mother's cunt. Mapampa means your mother's cunt, or your mother is a cunt. Mapima2 means the same thing. Code 19 says, is this Surinamese? Yes, it is. David B asked me, so I'm telling him. Koulo means fucking. Koulo, as in that fucking thing. Akoulo sani. Mapampa means your mother's cunt. Yeah. Ma obviously means mother, and pang pang simply means cunt. So your mother's cunt. Mapima2. Mapima means the same thing, but it's a shorter version of Mapampa. Coming shit. So UPCK, for example, UPCK, for example, means you piece of shit. That's what the K means, K-A. David B says, mapampa, mapima. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Sranang, I'm assuming that you Googled it. Sranang Tongo means, Sranang Tongo means literally Surinamese tongue. David B says, so when do you start with your Sranang Tongo lesson course? What do you mean? I speak Surinamese fluently because, yeah, I was born here. Any person that is either middle class and or down or low class is speaks the language. So yeah, I know the language because I grew up here. So yeah, I'm familiar with Surinamese as a language. You just encounter it in daily life, but primarily blacks speak it. Other ethnicities here, especially colored ethnicities, they speak it too, but specifically blacks, they use it the most in everyday life. Again, honestly, it's an ugly and disgusting language. Like I said, it's very African-esque. It's very African-esque. Okay. David B says, so when I get to Suriname, I'll know what they say to me. Believe me, it's not worth it. Okay. Code 919 says Suriname is ka. Yeah, that's the understatement of the century. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. Surinamese is pretty much a compilation of, as far as I know, English, Spanish, French, I think a bit, and Portuguese. It's basically a mishmash of all these languages. It's some kind of sick, twisted merger of all these languages. David B says, but they sound so non-insulting by the way it sounds. Yeah, listen, that's because, because you're unfamiliar with the language. I mean, I've heard other phrases too, and it also doesn't seem intimidating to me. Yeah, but again, it sounds, to me, I hate the language because it sounds unintelligible. You can clearly tell that it's a primitive language. It's unintelligible. It's simply, not much has evolved in terms of the language. The language is simply just a coincidence. It's not a language that was based on or comes from a strong civilization that has a strong foundation like French or English or Spanish or Portuguese. No. Even Portuguese, I'm not too fond of Portuguese because as far as I know, it's simply derived from Spanish. I think as far as I know, it's derived from Spanish, and it sounds a bit sometimes like a retarded version of Spanish. Not the way Portuguese people speak, but the way Brazilians speak Portuguese. It's kind of like a retarded version of Portuguese. So yeah, it. David B says yes, that's true. Yeah, I know it's true. Okay, like I said, there's a lot of Brazilian vermin here too. So you hear a lot of Portuguese here too, despite the fact that I don't speak Portuguese. Just an example, a person from Portugal, generally speaking, doesn't drag out phrases. They simply speak in one fluent motion. Okay, for example, I speak Portuguese, fala português, or Portuguese. That's what a European person would say, someone that speaks Portuguese within a European context. But someone from Brazil would literally go like, fala português. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's like you're retarded. Why do you keep dragging every word or every sentence that you pronounce? David B says Brazilian Portuguese is very simplified compared to European because it's very far away from it. Yeah, and that's also because of the slavery aspect of Brazil. Brazil is pretty much, Brazil was Portugal's thingy, Portugal's colony for a good while, and that's why it sounds so retarded. I'm not insulting Brazilians, honestly. I think one of the people, the kind of people, a lot of Brazilians visit my website. Brazilians are like what, number two, or number three in terms of all-time visits. And I have Brazilian Portuguese on my website. I asked someone that lived in Brazil to translate 20 to 25 articles for me. But yeah, I just face facts. Okay, I simply deal with reality, regardless of how harsh it might seem. The language is a bit it's unintelligible. When I first heard Portuguese people speak, I was like, oh, so that's what real Portuguese sounds like. They don't drag every fucking word or every phrase like they're some kind of stupid animal that's partially crippled. They speak in a normal way. David B says even Portuguese people from Europe hate it, I can imagine. Sounds like a retarded version of the language. Code 19 says Bari Lafu. I'm assuming that you Googled that, Code 919. Bari Lafu simply means I'm laughing my ass off. It's basically LMAO in Surinamese. Eric Anderson is asking me whether I like Brazilian women. No, to be honest, not really. But that's most likely due to the fact that I only see Brazilian vermin. I know that there are good-looking Brazilian women in Brazil, actual women that look nice and all. But yeah, I don't know. I just, unfortunately, the Brazilian women that I come into contact with, or not even contact, but the ones that I see are the ones that I see are they're just nothing but worthless whores, and they're basically Brazilian shit. So I don't really have a good impression of Brazilian people as a whole. But yeah, I know that that's kind of unfair and that that's biased or prejudiced. But yeah, I simply I've seen too much Brazilian shit. Code 19 says Brazilian women are bedrigimang. Eric Anderson says, Code 19, where did you get that from? Google Translate again. Bedrigimang, that doesn't really exist. Bedrigimang doesn't really mean anything. Mang simply means man or person. Bedrigi doesn't really mean something. So I have no idea where you got that from. Google Translate is wrong. There is no Google Translate for Srantongo. Yeah, why doesn't that surprise me? It's a random website. Oh, no wonder. So you're getting your shit from a random website. No. But yeah, that's pretty much it on David B says I only found one book of Srantongo of the language. Yeah, what do you expect? It's surprising that you found any book at all, okay? You want me guys to teach you how to swear in Dutch? Some Dutch phrases. Yeah, Dutch is a lot more practical, despite the fact that even Dutch is impractical on a global level. I mean, aside from the Netherlands and part of Belgium, there is no other country on this earth where Dutch is spoken. Any country that's worth mentioning, of course. So yeah, the Dutch are swimming against the stream, to be honest. David B says Suriname, LOL. I said country that's worth mentioning. So not a piece of shit like Suriname. Kut means cunt in Dutch. Kut means cunt in Dutch. K-U-T. Je bent een kut, you're a cunt. Je bent een kut means you're a cunt. Balazaran means to scam someone. Balazar means to scam someone. Die persoon heeft me belazerd. That person scammed me. Oplichter too. Okay, oplichter simply means con artist in Dutch. Ik ben opgelicht. I was conned. Oh. Oh. Ik wil neuken. Ik wil neuken. Means I want to fuck you. Ah. Neuken means fuck. Ik wil je neuken. I want to fuck you. Dutch and German do have some similarities, and Afrikaans too. That's because South Africa was founded by Dutch settlers. That's where the legend of the Flying Dutchman comes from. In Dutch, the Vliegende Hollander. The Flying Dutchman is simply a reference. It's one of those South African thingy. One of those South African ghost stories about a flying Dutch ship that people still see, and it was a Dutch pirate ship or some shit. Yeah, so that's why Afrikaans has a lot in common with Dutch. Okay, even the phrase Afrikaans means African. I found it funny because the first time I saw it, right, there's a snake that likes to climb in trees in South Africa, in the South African landscape, and they call it the boomslang. It's so funny to hear it in English because that's not the way it's pronounced. It's pronounced boomslang because it literally means tree snake, boomslang. And when I first saw it on National Geographic, I was like, seriously? The boomslang, seriously. It sounds so fucking stupid. Okay, boom is pronounced boom. It's pronounced more flat, like German. Boom means tree, and slang means snake. Boomslang. Tree snake. I mean, for the Africans, it was way to state the obvious. So something interesting as a combination. Do you want to see my snake? William and slang scene. Just ask a Dutch girl, William and slang scene. Do you want to see my snake? Boom slang sounds like a rapper, Eric Anderson. Quote 19 says, information overload, you're literally nuking us. Nah. Eric Anderson says, hoer. Hoer means whore in Dutch. Hoer. David B says, boers. Yeah, boers are what South African farmers of Dutch descent are called. In Dutch, it's called boeren, but in African, they simply remove the en at the end and they just add an s. So it's boers instead of boeren. Boer literally just means farmer. Farmer in Dutch. Ik ben een boer, I'm a farmer. David D says, and I'll get boom on my face like a big slap. Nah, the woman doesn't have the right to slap you. Just call her a cunt, okay? Just tell her you kut. Kutwave means bitch. Literally, kutwave, bitch. You cunt of a woman, you bitch. Code 19 says, fuck die vrouwen. Yeah, you're really losing your mind. Hey, Code 19 with Google Translate and random websites on the languages that I'm fluent in. Fuck die vrouwen. Fuck those women. Vrouw means woman. Singular. Vrouwen means plural, you know. Women. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a song by some reggae artist called Ik Vind Je Leuk. Ik Vind Je Leuk. What's he called again? Ik Vind Je Leuk. It's a song, Foreign Love, yeah. Foreign Love. Let's see if it's called Foreign Love in any case. Yeah, this is it. This is the video. Okay. It's the artist. It's a reggae artist called Popcorn. I'm not into reggae music necessarily, but the song is Ik vind je leuk, and the guys and what the first time I heard it, I giggled a bit because Popcorn isn't pronouncing it correctly. So most likely he learned it from some Dutch woman or some shit, and it's not pronounced leuk. But yeah, of course, I don't blame him because he's not fluent in Dutch. He's not familiar with the Dutch language, so he's not pronouncing it correctly. You know, it's not leuk, it's leuk. Eric Anderson says popcorn. So yeah, in any case, assuming that you guys have watched the video, ik vind je leuk, what he's saying, it's not ik vind je leuk, it's ik vind je leuk means I like you. So if you want to tell a Dutch woman that you like her romantically, just say ik vind je leuk. Ik vind je leuk. I like you. David B says, skin out of that fat pussy in front of me. Yeah, you know what reggae artists are like. Everything is about fucking and whatnot. So yeah, you know, I don't have to say anything. David B says, once a Dutchman learned me words, he taught me words like kankermoeder, klootzak, domme jongen. Yeah. Kankermoeder. Kankermoeder means cancer woman, cancer mother. So it's literally an insult. You know, basically your mother has cancer. Klootzak, no, that's not how it's pronounced. It's pronounced klootzak. Klootzak means you SOB, you know, you son of a bitch. And domme jongen is also not pronounced that way. Correct pronunciation is DOMMEJONGEN. Domme jongen means stupid boy or stupid guy. So yeah. Finally, it's starting to cool off a bit now that the sun's setting. David B says, I mean. Which language has better insults, English or Dutch? I'd say English. English is more effective. English is a lot more effective. I mean, if I say cunt, it sounds crude, you know, anyone knows. It can't possibly be something funny. If I call you a cunt, it automatically means that, you know, I called you something really bad. Motherfucker too, motherfucker, you know, it sounds aggressive immediately. Whereas cunt in Dutch, kut, it sounds like a mouse. That's what it sounds like. Cunt in Dutch sounds like a mouse. You know, kut. It's like you just told me something, like you told me to, I don't like what you did or something. It doesn't sound intimidating. Good wave. It's not really, it doesn't do anything for me. It has no, I don't feel any kind of severity. I don't feel anything in the way of being threatened or offended or something. Yeah, that Dutch is a funny language, honestly. That's why I say it's a sheer coincidence that I speak Dutch because I grew up here and I grew up under Dutch rule pretty much. So yeah, that's what I mean. It's a sheer coincidence. Otherwise, I never in a million years would have wanted to pick up Dutch as a language. It's impractical. Not a lot of countries in the world speak Dutch, and Dutch is a difficult language. Make no mistake. Dutch is a really, really difficult language in terms of grammar use, grammatical use, and in terms of grammar use and whatnot. Dutch isn't the most practical of languages. Eric Anderson says, funny fucker. Code 19 says, grappige klootzak. David B says, and the pronunciation, those diphthongs. Yeah, I know what you mean. Goor means gross, but the way a Dutch person pronounces goor, so gross, so as in disgusting in Dutch, in gross in Dutch is goor, G-O-O-R, and you can already tell that it sounds like you're gurgling your mouth in the morning. Goor, it's just impractical. Goor, and I am pronouncing it in a much more effective way. Someone that's Dutch would literally tell you, "God, dat is goor, zeg, dat is heel goor." Well, and that person basically said, "God, that's gross, that's disgusting." But yeah, the way a Dutch person pronounces it is so stupid. So yeah, that's definitely not. In English, it's pretty much straightforward. That shit is gross, my man. That shit is gross. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's appalling. It's gross. But yeah, the G is very guttural. Whore. That's how they pronounce it. Maak je geen zorgen hoor, alles komt wel goed, wel, het is geen probleem hoor. That's the way Dutch people talk. I just said, don't worry about a thing, everything will be okay, everything will be fine in Dutch. But you wouldn't be able to, make sense of it, okay? Believe me. If you don't speak Dutch, then you'll be like, what the fuck was that? Did you just say something? Because any other person that doesn't speak Dutch hears is that's what you hear. I mean, even French is a bit more coherent. I don't speak French, but I can distinguish that someone is saying something in French, as in bonjour, mon ami, blah, 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 you name it. I can understand that, hey, the person is saying something, But in Dutch, it's just, yeah, David B says, did you say something or are you clearing your throat? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it for Dutch people. You guys are familiar with the way they pronounce the way that blacks try to come with a comeback for the word nigger, right? The derogatory phrase nigger. And in the US, they like to call white people crackers because it's just stupid. It's an insult, I think, to them. Being called a cracker is supposed to be an insult. But yeah, in any case, in Dutch, black people that live in the Netherlands, when they, as a comeback to being called a nigger, okay, nigger or black person in Dutch means is nigger. That's how it's pronounced. It's like nigger, but nigger, N-E-G-E-R, nigger. Yeah, literally like black, as in negro, in Spanish, negro. That shit is black, my man. And black people that live in the Netherlands, they call white people that have blonde hair, as a comeback, a derogatory insult, they call them cheeseheads. The first time I heard it, I found it funny, cheeseheads, because for obvious reasons, okay, they try to make blonde hair out for cheese and shit. So cheeseheads, the same way that in the US, cheese dick is also a derogatory phrase. And yeah, it's a reasonable comeback, cheeseheads. But it's kind of stupid too, okay? Honestly, it's kind of stupid, cheeseheads. And cheese in Dutch is kaas, K-A-A-S, and heads in Dutch, is koppen, K-O-P-P-E-N, koppen. So combine the two and you'll get in Dutch kaaskoppen. That's the Dutch phrase for cheesehead. So whenever a white person tries to make out someone else for a nigger or some shit in Holland, they go like, hey, fuck you, cheesehead, fuck you, kaaskop. Create the clear kaaskop. But see, I'm pronouncing it normally, kaaskop, kaaskoppen, cheeseheads. They don't pronounce it like that. They literally go like, jullie zijn een stelletje kaaskoppen. And it sounds stupid, honestly. It sounds stupid from a neutral perspective. Want me to do it again? Stelletje kaaskoppen. Jullie zijn een stelletje kaaskoppen. That's the way Dutch people talk, or people that live in Holland speak. It's kind of messed up. You guys can still see me okay, right? Hear me okay? I noticed just now that the thingy became a bit slower. Okay. No, I noticed just now. Okay, yeah. Upload speed must be thingying a bit. Hold on, I'll just measure it to be sure. Upload speed is a piece of shit. Only 3 MB upload speed to stream. I need a lot more than that. I need to check to see if Windows isn't doing any shitty things such as updating. I don't want any updates. If they dare to update, I'm going to disable them. I'll check in a second to see what the upload speed is. Yeah, now I can see myself okay again, but things slowed down for a bit. That's the upload speed. Eric Anderson says, I'm not offended. No, nor should you be. It's just, and honestly, it's not nearly as effective, you know. I mean, cheese can be delicious. I don't like cheese, but a lot of people do love cheese. So I don't know. I don't see the connection. You know, like I said, it's similar to cracker. I mean, only someone that dislikes crackers would be offended. But calling someone, a white person, a cracker as a means of a racial comeback is kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid. So calling someone cracker. All right, fuck you in Dutch is Craig de Kleren. David B says, LOL when they call themselves like that. Yeah, that's even dumber, but only white trash will call themselves that. Yeah, fuck you in Dutch means Craig de Kleren. Fuck you asshole. Asshole is Craig de Kleren klootzak. Asshole meaning klootzak. Oh. Computer all of a sudden is going into overdrive. I have no idea why. I hear my hard drive going nuts, despite the fact that disk usage is only 2%. CPU usage is 34 and memory usage is 46. So I have no idea what the fuck is wrong. Why my computer all of a sudden chooses to go into overdrive, whatever. David B says, with such a vocabulary, we can make very lengthy insults. Definitely. The more you know me. Yeah. 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 And, oh, okay. Funny enough, or funnily enough, it Craig de Kleren, right? Craig de Kleren literally can mean get the clothes. It sounds so stupid. Craig de Kleren. So basically Dutch for fuck you. Literally translated. So literally, if you were to literally translate every individual phrase, Craig de Kleren means get the clothes. Craig means to get something, to receive something. De means the, and Kleren with an N at the end means clothes. And so it's kind of stupid, okay? Like I said, I don't know what was going through the Dutch's heads, what went through their heads or through their minds when they were thinking of insults. Craig de Kleren. So stupid. Craig de Kleren. I mean, can you see you telling someone it's Craig de Kleren? That's the Dutch phrase. That's the Dutch version of fuck you. It's stupid. I mean, when I tell you to fuck you, you can immediately feel the hatred. But Craig de Kleren means what? What? You're just confused, you know. So yeah, Dutch can leave you confused. Like I said, Dutch is a very difficult language. Okay, believe me. If you're someone you want to learn Dutch, it's pretty much an uphill battle. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but you really have to devote yourself to learning the language and mastering it. If you're not motivated, then you're not going to make it. But truth be told, that accounts for most languages that are minor. You know, most languages that aren't spoken by a lot of people globally are difficult to process or difficult to learn. David B says, "Come on, get the clothes, man." Yeah, it's kind of stupid. Okay, it's really stupid. Dutch people, Agaris would definitely help with that. Yeah, Agaris, Belial, plenty of spirits that can help you with mastering languages. I'm gonna tell you guys another thing. Dutch people have typical names like Van Leeuwarden, Van de Vent, Van Leeuwarden, Van de Vent, Rosenberg, thingy, the Vos. It just goes on. Similar to my name, okay. Ravenberg is also a common name, but not so much in the Netherlands. But it is easy to pronounce for the Dutch, so that's not an issue. Van means of in Dutch. Van means of in Dutch. Okay. So for example, Van Leeuwen means of lions. Of lions. Van Leeuwen means of lions. Leeuwen means lion. Lion means leeuw in Dutch. So Leeuwen is plural, it's lions. Van Leeuwen of lions. The Vos, for example, means the fox in Dutch. The Vos means the fox in Dutch. And these are stereotypical Dutch names, last Dutch names that Dutch people have. Common first names. Common first names are Hans, Gretel, Annelies, Merel. Lisbeth, Anna. That's where Anne Frank's name comes from. Teun, Joop, Jan, Albert. These are all Dutch names, okay? Hans, Albert, Joop, Teun, and so on. These are all stereotypical Dutch names, names that you'll primarily hear in the Netherlands. Only Dutch people have these kind of names. They rarely have any other names. Mika is also one of them. Mika is Dutch as well as German. The English version of Mika is Michelle. So Mika in Dutch is Michelle in English. Jan in English is Ian. Okay, in Dutch, Ian is Jan, but they simply replace the I with a J. So Jan is a very common name. Albert is a common name too, but it's pronounced harsh, Albert. David B says here, Jan is John. Yeah, it depends, okay? It all depends. But these names are pretty much the same thing. Oh, Nanantine says Mensa Eater too. You mean people eater? Mensa Freeter. Mensa Freeter. That's what I used to call that girl. Mensa means people, plural, and Freeter means to eat, but in a crude way. It's like when saying something, it's like when telling someone that you're eating the fuck out of that thing. Jesus, man, you're eating the shit out of your food right now. It's crude. Eaten, just to eat, that's normal, but frieten is the rude version of eating something. For example, an animal eats something. The hyena is eating a carcass. The hyena frites a carcass. You use the phrase frieten then. You went a freeter. You're someone that eats like a fucking animal. Yeah, devour, exactly, David B. devour. But even devour is still neat, you know. Devour is still very neat and clean and everything. Friter is pretty much the derogatory version of to eat something. It's eating something in a primitive way, like that way. David B says, I didn't ignore your question. I was about to get to it. My name is local, right? No, my name is not local. Like I said, I'm not Surinamese, okay? My entire name, even local people have a bunch of weird ass names. My name isn't local. My name is literally Morino, is Italian and Latin for more, simply a reference to my Moorish ancestry. I'm assuming you guys are familiar with Moor or Moorish people. They were part of the Ottoman Empire, if I'm not mistaken. They conquered the Iberian Peninsula. They conquered Spain, what is nowadays Spain and Portugal, in the time that the Ottoman Empire was still at its peak power, and they were slowly pushed back by Christians, and they were called Moors. I think they're a mixture of Caucasians and Arabs. If you just Google Moors, you'll see it right away. Okay, they're also called Berbers. They're kind of like sub-Saharan looking. They look a bit like me, okay, but I look like a more refined version of them. Yeah, my name isn't a coincidence. Okay, I already traced my occult lineage and whatnot, and my first name, literally means more in Latin. You know, so in Italy they simply go like "Es un Morino," so that's how my name is pronounced in Italian. Morino means literally just more, and Ravenberg literally just means a mountain of ravens. Berg means mountain in Dutch. Berg, een berg vol raven, a mountain of ravens. And my last name is also not a coincidence. My last name also hints to my Eastern ancestry, not biologically, literally speaking. We're talking about ancestry in an occult way. So yeah, I am a flag of multiple colors. I'm like a rainbow color flag. Okay, I'm the reincarnation of a Dutch magician, and my name is a reference to my long lineage from the Ottoman Empire, and my last name is a reference to my Eastern character traits. You know, I'm not a. That's why the sun was in Libra when I was born. It all connects together, etc. Eric Anderson says hyenas. Eric Anderson says hyena, ostrich, people eater. It's the unholy trinity. Eric Anderson says it sounds like the Italian Marino. Yeah, I know. You have a bunch of derivatives. You have a bunch of names that are derived or that are similar to mine. In addition to my name, you also have Morino with an E. You have Mourinho. You have Moreno. You have Marino. And yeah, Surinamese people have tremendous difficulty pronouncing my name. Some of them. It's always Morino instead of Morino. So instead of Morino with an I, it is Morino with an E. Morino, what's up? Marino, a bunch of fucking annoying thing. And a bunch of fucking annoying, people that can't pronounce my name. Some people have no issues. Dutch people have no issues with my name. They can pronounce my name immediately. Morino. Morino, that's how my name is pronounced. Morino Ravenberg. Morino Ravenberg. But other people here, the locals, they're like Moreno with an E. I was like, do you see a fucking E in my name? How hard is it to pronounce? Others call me Mourinho. A bunch of fucking shit, and it's just annoying, you know? How would you like it if your name was Peter and they pronounce your name Peter? They've said something like Patrice or some shit. I mean, seriously, it's annoying. But I've grown tired of correcting people. So yeah, I just thought to myself, go fuck yourself. Honestly, I'm not even gonna respond to any inquiry. David B says, LOL, exactly how you pronounce Petr in Czech. Yeah, I know. I think in Russian too, right? The E is subtracted and it's just Petr. It's not Peter, it's Petr. It's Petr in Eastern European, most Eastern European languages, Petr. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about the goalkeeper from Chelsea, Petr Cech. I don't know if he still plays for Chelsea, for soccer wise, football wise, but yeah, he's an example, Petr. But he was Russian, I think. Yeah. David B says, no wonder people see you exotic in Suriname. I mean, you're so different. Yeah, I know. Not, I am different, period. You're like, you are the multiculturalism. David B says, what the fuck? Oh. All of a sudden, all of your chats disappeared. I have no idea what the fuck is happening to the stream. Nothing's happening, but for a brief couple of seconds, I saw all of your stuff disappear. All of the messages disappeared. And I was like, what the fuck? Why is everyone's message thingy blank? Petr Cech is Cech, yeah. Ravenberg sounds cool. Code 919 says, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I like my name too, you know. I don't have a stupid last name. I'm going to give you guys an example, a couple of examples. Okay, local people sound, they have these kind of names. For example, Indians here have names like Ram, Paul, Dat, Singh. That's the name, kind of names that Indians have here. Blacks here have names like Lisdek. Yeah, I know. Eric Anderson says, what the fuck? Yeah, Lisdek. Wester, Sorg, stuff like that, you know, names that are more pronounceable in Dutch. Whereas Indonesians have ugly ass names alongside Indians. Indonesians have names like Kromo, Karto, or Karto, Wijoyo. I mean, names that are just god awful. It doesn't even sound like a human being. It sounds like some kind of plant, undiscovered plant in the jungle that is a carnivore or some shit. Doesn't sound like a normal human being. And these kind of people that's what people here sound like, okay? Believe me, if you'll meet a Surinamese person, that person will have a name like that. For example, Indians here have names like Praveen Singh, or Praveen Singh, or Linda. Yeah, Code 919 says Mohan Singh. Yeah, exactly. Or Linda. Gufaru. Names like that, you know, Indian, stereotypical Indian names. Suku. A bunch of fucking names. Yeah, Code 919 says Sharmila. Yeah, these are awful names, okay? Believe me. And what's even worse is that these names are what most streets are named after. So all of a sudden you'll have a street that is called Mohan Singh Road. Mohan Singh Road. Eric Anderson says Linda name, it's fine. Yeah, Linda name is fine, okay? Some are a mixture of, they give their children, some parents give their children a normal Dutch name, but the last name is still, you know, Indian. Kona 19 says, my name is Nitin. Even that's better, okay? But yeah, these names are fucking ugly. They're almost impronounceable, whereas everyone can pronounce my name. And with, like I said, with Indonesians, it's the same thing, okay? Sonto Wigolo, Carto di Potruno, a bunch of fucking ugly names, man. Names that no one else can pronounce other than a Surinamese person. Okay, the only reason I can pronounce these names is because I am, you know, because I am local. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be able to pronounce these fucking names. And I just say, you know what, skip it. I'm just gonna call you by your first name. And otherwise, Quote 19 says Ramya Priya Sudhir Ravi. Yeah. So those kind of names, even worse, okay? Bush Negroes. Bush Negroes have names like, Bush Negroes here locally have names like Amimba, Pusu, Gruno, Dandioleti. Those kind of names. These sound like stereotypical jungle fucking names. That's what they sound like. Amimba, Pusugruno, Dandioleti. They're so ugly. They just make you go cringe like this. Fuck, ugly names. David B says Dandioleti sounds like dandelion. Yeah, I know. Amoeba sounds better. Code 919 says a raped version of that, of dandelion. David B says, yeah. So yeah, sorry. So that's what names sound like. So my name, thank God I have a normal name. Everyone can pronounce my name. And people say you have a nice name, you know, your name is easy to pronounce. You name it. I once met a Dutch guy, the guy was like Morino Ravenberg. That is a mooie naam. Morino Ravenberg, that's a beautiful name. You've got a nice name. It's easy to pronounce. David D says, thank you for a list of names to name my future children. Great tips. Eric Anderson says, me too. Well, assuming that you hate your children, you can call your children that. I'm going to give you an example. There is a local name, a first name called, let me know what it's derived from. Urania. Urania. Let me know what you think of that name, Urania. It's pronounced in Dutch, Urinia. Can you imagine you calling your child something close to urine? Seriously. As a first name. It's just offensive. It's just offensive. It's just offensive on so many levels. Code 919 says I'm holding my urania. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. The blacks are full of shit, literally. Blacks are literally full of shit. Their heads are not screwed on straight. What can a normal person call their child that? Give your child a normal fucking name. Give your child a normal fucking name, but don't. Code 919 says if you have to name yourself as a Surinamese, what would you name yourself? Seriously? Nah, I would give myself any other name. I love my name. I have a normal fucking name. I do not like my second name. For those of you that don't know it, I do have a second name. I do have a second name, and I really don't like it. The name is a local name. It's Carlo. So my full name is Morino Carlo Ravenberg. Morino Carlo Ravenberg. David B says Tonto Igolo Ravenberg. Carlo sounds cool, Code 919 says. No, it does not, okay? Carlo's a name for bald black men, and I'm not a bald guy, nor am I black. So no, Carlo does not suit me. I'm going to, whenever I get the chance, I'm going to have my name changed. I just want that name stricken from the record. That's why I never use that name. Have you guys ever heard me use that name? Never. I've never used that name. I only use Morino Ravenberg. You'll only see Carlo on my. You'll only see Carlo on my on official documents. You know, like my passport and my driver's license and shit. Eric Anderson says one of my friends' name is Carlos. Yeah, Carlos is different, okay? As long as the name suits you, but the name doesn't suit me. Do I look like a Carlo? David B says Carlo is like Monte Carlo. Yes, but again, Carlo is a name for bald black man. Just Google Carlo and you'll see what kind of results come up. Whereas Google Moreno, and my name is pretty unique. A lot of people have names like Moreno with an E and so on, but my Moreno, Morino, is relatively rare. You won't come across too many people that are named Moreno. Just look for it on social media, anything. You won't find too many Morinos out there that have first name as a Moreno. You'll find plenty of Ravenbergs. You've got white Ravenbergs, you've got black Ravenbergs. The family Ravenberg from Suriname itself, are black people. But you also have white Ravenbergs, you know, and you've got Ravenbergs in the US and whatnot. It's just an example. Those kinds of people. David B says, but in my country, there are some really disgusting names. David B says, my name is so international. What is your name, David B? Honestly, I mean, I'm assuming that it's a name like Poshlufnov or some shit. I'm just saying, I'm not insulting your name, but I'm assuming that it's automatically it's a Baltic name. You know, like I don't know, nothing. I'm drawing a blank. Let's see, Kofijalnoski or something like that. You know, something that automatically makes you roll your tongue Baltically. You know, so it wouldn't surprise me if your real name is Petr Kofijalnoski or something. Eric Anderson says, me too. My real name is David. David Barron is your full name, David B. Okay, that's a coincidence. Hold on, I need to turn on the lights. It's already gotten dark. So I need to turn on the lights outside as well as inside here. It's already what? Local time is what? It's 7 p.m. Hold on. Oh. Rick Anderson says, thanks. Sure, David B says, but I have to say, I do really like my surname because it has that royal touch. Yeah, your name is nice, David Barron. It's a nice name. Code 919 says, would you replace Carlos with someone else? That's a great idea, to be honest. It's a great idea, but I think I'll just remove the name altogether. Just have the name removed, period, you know, and that's it. I just want to be Moreno Ravenberg, no Moreno Carlo Ravenberg or some shit. The name is just ugly. Code 919 says Moreno Samael Ravenberg. See what it sounds like. Moreno Samael Sandalphon Ravenberg. It's nice. I like it. Okay. So basically Moreno SS Ravenberg. Quite nice. I might just have a change to that. It's sick. It's fucking sick. David B says it's common to have 3 names in Suriname or just in South America in general. I'm not sure about I'm not sure about I'm not sure about South America, but I am sure about Suriname. It's common to have 3 names here. Most people have 3 names here, but they don't use their second name. For example, another common Dutch name is Piet or Pieter. It's simply the Dutch version of Peter. Peter Andreas de Leeuw. Yeah, Peter Andreas de Leeuw. Peter Andreas the Lion. Yeah, first name, father's name, and then your last name is indeed the order. Okay, I got my father's name. My father's name was Carlo, but I don't like the name at all. Eric Anderson says my full name is David Joe Bradshaw. Okay, David Bradshaw. Did you used to have an account that you were the David Bradshaw from, and then I'm assuming that you created another account with this name, Eric Anderson? Or am I mistaken? Oh, you're saying yes. See, I thought so. You were the David Bradshaw. Okay. David B says, is your dad black and bald? Yes. That's why. And I look nothing like him, so the name even. I look nothing like the name, so I'm like, nah. David B says, so it fits. No, it does not. No, it does not. I'm not kidding. I think I might change my name to Marino SS Ravenberg. Marino Samuel Sandal von Ravenberg. It's an excellent testament to who I am. David B says, I mean that Carlo is bald and black. Yes. Eric Anderson says it sounds good. Let me see. What was I gonna do again? I was gonna do something. David B says, but is it possible? We'll see. Okay, once I'm abroad, I'll check to see if it's possible. Here, you don't even have to count because it's a piece of shit. So there is no order here, no structure. So any judicial venture is going to take years. It's like founding a fucking company. That's how bad it is in terms of getting anything done paperwork wise. The entire process is so tedious and whatnot. It's just, look, it's just bug. It's bug. Code 19 says Morino Samson Ravenberg. Rick Anderson. Sounds good. I'm not going to shorten Samael and Sandalphon. I'm going to list the full name. So Marino, Samael, Sandalphon, Ravenberg. Sounds sick, but we'll see. It's either that or just Marino Ravenberg. Just plain Marino Ravenberg and no annoying second name that doesn't fit me like the current one I have. Been streaming for close to 3 hours now. David B says I'll have to sleep soon. Yeah, it is. I'm assuming it's 11 or 12 p.m. Right? It's midnight or close to midnight where you are. You have to wake up early. Eric Anderson says, "Wow, 3 hours. Time does fly." Yeah, time flies, but I did notice it. It's finally cooled off a bit, and it's no longer as hot. Okay, Google. Current temperature.
The temperature in the New Grand right now is 27 degrees Celsius. Due to the current humidity, it feels like it's 31.
Yeah, that's better, 31. It's no longer 38 or 39 fucking degrees. So it's cooled off a bit. It's still cooling off. It should drop all the way to 23, 24 degrees. Even that's too thingy for me. Even that's too little for me. Eric Anderson says my time is 3:07 p.m. Okay, sure, no problem. David B says good night, Morino and chat. Are you really leaving? Are you really leaving, David B? Or just kidding? The code 19. Oh, sorry. Yeah, your question, your opinion on Oshun. I don't. Oshun is a thingy, right? Hold on. I remember you asking me this too. My opinion on Oshun. Um David B says, I don't want to, but my body wants to. Oh, so sad. 5 hours to sleep. Yeah, sure. Rest well, I'd say. Rest well, I'd say. Yeah, sorry, Code 919, your opinion on Oshun. I have no opinion on Oshun. Isn't Oshun one of these traditional African religions? Similar to voodoo and whatnot, by David B. Ah, see you later. Vidi Mose, David B. I have no opinion on Oshun, to be honest. I have no opinion on Oshun, to be honest. Do you care to elaborate, Code 919? Okay, so does anyone have any questions, others, or any other comments, or anything else? Anything whatsoever? Is she an egregore? Oh, on Oshun. Yeah, but she's a pagan god or a pagan goddess, and she's also an egregore, period. So yeah. Code 19 says all clear, Morino. Okay, and I am honestly pretty much also done with everything I have to say. So I suppose unless someone convinces me otherwise by bringing up some other topic, that it's time to end this stream. Code 19 is asking me what I'm gonna eat. I have plenty of stuff to eat. I still have that corn soup that I bought yesterday. It's a lot. So I think I'm gonna eat a bit of that in a second. For the rest, I also have brown rice with vegetables and chicken for tomorrow. And I also have a vegetable mix that I'm going to add to the mix. So yeah, I have to say I love my fedora. I just can't get enough of it. I'm really gonna start a fedora collection, I think. I already ordered the white one. I might also order a blue one and a red one. I never thought that I'd like a fedora that much, that I'd be that much into this fedora. But it's just so appealing. Okay, so yeah, you guys, in any case, that is it. I'd say rest well to those of you that are going to sleep, going to sleep. And to the rest, until next time. Emoji, bye. Wave, bye. Goodbye, emoji. What? No emoji found for waving? Seriously? No emoji found? Well, fuck you then, thingy. Okay, emoji chat window thing. Quote 19 says, video Murino Samuel Sandal van Revenberg. Eric Anderson says, thank you, stream. Sure, no problem. Code 19, the Virginia. Bye bye. You found the waving shit thing. How could I not find it? Okay, fuck it. Bye. I'll see you guys later. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0.